Dungeon babies are ticking time bombs, and we're about to unleash one. The war between the above-ground and underground has left humanity scarred. But the emergence of these supernatural beings has sparked a new era of exploration and danger. Jinwoo, a dungeon baby, has suppressed his instincts, choosing to live an ordinary life as a guide. But the lure of the labyrinth is always present. His family depends on him, and he's determined to keep them safe. But for how long can he resist the call of the dungeons? And that's not even the worst part. Rex, the boss, is on high alert, warning his team about an incoming threat.
The team is decide what to do next, with some members advocating for leaving the labyrinth immediately. Their goal is to prioritize their safety above all else. The obstacle is the potential loss of valuable footage and the risk of not being able to return.
Let's fight.
The team is divided, with some members eager to push on and others wanting to retreat. The consequence of their decision will be crucial, as it could mean the difference between life and death. Stay subbed to Manwa with Hari, or you'll miss the climax. The team has decided to press on, hoping to capture more footage and potentially earn a significant reward. The team is convinced each other to keep moving forward, despite the risks, and Jinwoo is struggling to keep them from making a fatal mistake. Their goal is to reach the next level, but the obstacle is the unknown dangers that lie ahead. The team is getting desperate, and their actions are becoming more reckless by the minute. The consequence is a growing sense of unease that's threatening to tear them apart.
Help!
The team is on the brink of collapse, and their decision will be crucial. He has no idea what's waiting. Jinwoo and his team are facing a new threat, a wolf monkey that's appeared on the first floor, and they're caught off guard. Jinwoo is defensive, his goal is to clear his name, but the obstacle is the accusations. He's explaining his actions, the consequence is a heated argument, and the cost is his relationship with his team already strained. He's trying to make them understand, but the answer is already too late. Jinwoo's frustration boils over. His goal is to justify his actions, but the obstacle is the child's accusing stare. He's trying to explain himself. The consequence is a heated argument, and the cost is his already strained relationship with the child.
You should have listened.
The child's words cut deep, and Jinwoo's defense is already crumbling. What comes next changes everything.
Jinwoo navigates treacherous labyrinth paths, desperate to keep the child safe from looming dangers. Jinwoo loses his team's trust, his relationships crumbling under the weight of accusations and misunderstandings. Jinwoo's desperate escape attempts are slipping away, threatened by deadly mistakes and crippling injuries.
Yoonju's life is slipping away, and I'm the only one who can save her. Jinwoo's instincts scream at him to act, but he's frozen, his mind reeling from the venom's aftermath. He assesses the damage, his arm, his entire body somehow healed. But at what cost?
I'm alive.
Jinwoo's father lectures Hyunji, his words cutting deep. He wants her to understand the value of hard work, but her tears block his message. Jinwoo tries to intervene, but his father's anger overwhelms him. Do you think your parents are so useless? The argument reaches a boiling point, and Jinwoo's world begins to shatter. What comes next changes everything. Jinwoo's father turns to Hyunji, his expression a mix of disappointment and sadness. He wants to know why she's become so selfish, but her silence blocks his understanding. Jinwoo tries to speak up, but his father's words cut him deep. I thought I raised you well. Jinwoo prepares to face the creature head-on, determined to survive. He wants to overpower it, but his lack of strength and speed blocks his progress. Jinwoo chooses to use all his force from the start, hoping to catch the creature off guard. The creature retaliates, and Jinwoo narrowly avoids its attack. Stupid wretch. Did you think I'd fall for the same trick twice? Jinwoo's anger fuels his next move, but the real problem is already in motion. Jinwoo realizes his current methods won't work against the creature's superior strength. He wants a new plan, but his limited options block his thinking. Jinwoo decides to find a weapon, knowing he can't defeat the creature barehanded. Yoonju apologizes, her voice weak but sincere. She wants to make amends, but Jinwoo's guilt blocks her words. Jinwoo decides to reassure her, trying to lift her spirits. He tells her not to worry, but his concern for her safety is palpable. Yoonju's injuries are still a mystery, and Jinwoo's determination to save her grows stronger.
I'm sorry.
Jinwoo's face softens, but the real problem is already in motion. What comes next changes everything. Jinwoo quickly turns to leave, but his eyes linger on Yoonju's fragile state. He wants to ensure her safety, but his own instincts block his resolve.
Jinwoo is racing against time to save Yoonju's life as her severe injuries worsen, and he's fighting to keep her stable amidst the labyrinth's treacherous challenges. Jinwoo's guilt and concern for Yoonju are intensifying, and he's struggling to come to terms with the weight of his responsibility for her safety and well-being. The labyrinth's mysterious pull on Jinwoo remains unresolved, leaving him torn between his duty to protect Yoonju and the unknown forces drawing him back into its depths.
Hyunji's money vanishes into thin air, and he's frantic, his eyes scanning every inch of the room for any sign of the thief. He wants his money back, and he wants it now. But every door he opens, every corner he checks, leads to nothing. His frustration grows with each passing second. He's desperate, and that desperation is starting to boil over. What comes next changes everything. Is watching Hyunji's every move, a mixture of confusion and concern etched on his face. Hyunji's excitement has turned to panic and doesn't know what to make of it. He tries to calm Hyunji down, but Hyunji's not listening. The labyrinth is reorganizing itself, and Jinwoo's synchronized data is the key. The process is agonizingly slow, and Hyunji's patience is wearing thin. Every passing moment could mean the difference between finding the thief and losing everything. So hard over this stuff. The labyrinth's transformation is far from over, and the consequences of failure are dire, but the real problem is already in motion. You're thrown into the heart of the labyrinth, where darkness and terror reign. The air is thick with malevolent energy, and every step feels like a betrayal. Jinwoo's control over the labyrinth is tenuous at best, and Hyunji's money is still nowhere to be found. It's better than before. The value of down gems becomes clear. Even a small one is worth millions of one. Jinwoo's goal is to obtain one, but the rarity and danger of acquiring it obstruct him. He reacts with a mix of excitement and trepidation, and the consequence is a heightened sense of urgency. The cost is his escalating anxiety. He has no idea what's waiting. Jinwoo's search yields an astonishing result: 2 down gems. His goal is to secure them, but the surprise and potential danger block him. He takes action, moving swiftly to claim them, and the consequence is a thrill of excitement. The cost is his momentary loss of focus.
Hyunji's anger boils over as he confronts the suspected thief, unleashing a potent threat that hangs precariously in the air, while Jinwoo discovers a valuable down gem, changing the game. Jinwoo's heart swells with elation and caution as he claims not one, but 2 down gems, worth millions. But the uncertainty of the consequences weighs heavily on his mind. The fate of Jinwoo's newfound treasure hangs in the balance, as the potential danger and unpredictability of the situation leave him steeling himself for the unknown challenges ahead.
Labyrinth upgrade completion hangs by a thread, with only seconds to spare and hours left on the clock. Brian's heart is racing as he makes a desperate gamble, sacrificing a middle rank down gem to restore the labyrinth's durability and trigger the upgrade. The cost is steep, but he has no choice. He needs this upgrade to secure his family's future.
What have you done?
And that's not even the worst part. Brian has hours until the durability restoration is complete, and then he'll have hours left to raise the labyrinth's rank. The clock is ticking, and he's acutely aware that every minute counts. Brian instructs the rest of the Naga workers to dig the wall opposite the nest, creating a storage room. He's impressed by their speed and efficiency. They're able to dig out a room in under an hour. The storage room is 1 times 1, and Brian knows it's a good start.
Impressive.
But the real problem is already in motion, and Brian has to stay focused. A part of the Naga worker exploration team returns, but something is off. Only a few of them are back, and Brian's instincts are screaming that something is wrong. He asks where the rest are, and the silence is deafening. Is worried about the labyrinth's safety while he's away. He thinks about the potential consequences of an attack. His concern for the workers and the labyrinth's security is palpable. He takes a deep breath, weighing his options.
If the labyrinth gets attacked while I'm not here,
Brian's eyes lock onto the down gem, his heart racing with the potential implications as the Naga workers gather around. Their faces filled with anticipation and expectation. The labyrinth's pull is reawakening Brian's long-suppressed instincts, forcing him to confront the life he left behind and the person he's becoming, stirring a mix of emotions within him. The clock is ticking down, with the labyrinth's rank upgrade hanging precariously in the balance. As Brian faces the daunting task of meeting the Naga King's demands within the tight deadline. Brian's got 2 starter units, a Naga soldier for pure combat and a Naga made for brains. He wants to defend his new labyrinth, but his obstacle is a brutal maintenance fee he can't afford to ignore. He makes the only logical move, summoning one of each to start. The cost is a monthly drain on his precious down gems, locking him into a war of attrition from day one. Every gem spent now is a risk he can't get back. The summoning ritual completes, and a Naga soldier materializes. Brian wants a capable fighter to secure his territory, and he gets exactly that. The obstacle of an unknown result is shattered by the absolute unit that appears.
Brian is utterly impressed by Nora's competence. He wants to express his gratitude, but the obstacle is her humble professionalism, as she dismisses her incredible strategic mind as a maid's basic duty. The consequence is a moment of genuine awe from Brian. He never imagined having a Naga partner who could advise him like this. He confesses his biggest concern. He can't stay underground forever because of his family. He needs a manager he can trust absolutely. And Nora's response is perfect.
I understand the master's concern.
Nora warns him the clock is ticking.
Brian masterfully leverages a legendary Hell Spider score to secure vital dungeon intel from a cunning merchant who already knows the secret of his family hidden below. His desperate need to protect his wife and child skyrockets when the merchant reveals he knows their location, turning a simple transaction into a high-stakes game of information. Now, Brian must trust this shady man with his most dangerous secret, while an army of wild beasts prepares to descend upon his undefended home.
A man with nothing to protect is a loose cannon.
Tries to calm him down, insisting that working with dungeon babies is like handling superhuman weapons. They are not all gentle. His problem is
inconsistent work. The first item was perfect, but the rest looked dirty and suspicious.
Can't trust someone who only has to answer for himself.
Hands clench. He knows this accusation is a threat disguised as business.
Holds all the leverage. And he's about to use it. What comes next changes everything. Entire tone shifts. His obstacle is
defiance, so he goes for the one thing that will break him, his family. He realizes the terrifying trade-off. His goal was power, but the obstacle is a devastating new vulnerability, the labyrinth core. It's the heart of his entire domain, the single point of failure that can disable everything if destroyed. He feels exposed, a massive weak point just spawned into existence. That, the heart of the labyrinth. Brian's goal is to identify the source of this power, his dungeon baby instincts firing as he recognizes the mutation. The obstacle is the creature's lack of will. A powerful but soulless weapon is unpredictable. He pieces it together. The stronger a naga is, the higher the chance a powerful subspecies can be reborn from it. This little guy is a rare, powerful offshoot. The cost of its blank slate is a lack of initiative, but its sheer strength makes it the most valuable worker he has. That child is...
Brian commits his entire workforce to an all-or-nothing defense, weaponizing even the mutated Naga worker and arming his tiny guardian in a desperate gambit to protect the dungeon core. He gains a terrifyingly powerful but uncontrollable mutant and solidifies a bond of absolute loyalty with his guardian, but risks losing everything by leaving his core completely undefended. The dungeon's entire future now hinges on this single, desperate counterattack against an unknown invading force, with nothing left in reserve if his makeshift army fails. Kai finds the last hidden snake cave, and his hope for a real fight crumbles. He sees only digging snakes, no fighters. The new owner is an idiot who doesn't know how to breed troops. But his horned leader Rex is smart. The bigger the horns, the bigger the brain. Rex knows this is the final snake cave, and he plans to wipe them all out. Their war cry dies in their throats at the sight of the one thing they can't bring themselves to kill: a hatchling. But that hesitation is about to be erased. The plan is simple. Eat the snakes, destroy their home, and grow their horns bigger and stronger. No more running. You spend your whole life bowing your head, pretending the slaughter of your kind is just the way things are. But seeing that baby snake killed broke something in Kai. He refuses to lower his head ever again. His new goal is singular: save their cavern leader, Rex, so he can save their entire species from extinction. He screams the order over the din of battle, a final act of defiance. Run, cavern leader. Save our kind. He buys Rex a single, bloody second to make his move. And that move changes everything. Rex sees his opening and bolts for the glowing core marble. He knows consuming its power is their only chance at victory. Kai makes the final assessment. The force he deployed, 1 heroic level champion and 4 normal level soldiers, was overkill. His goal shifts from defense to analysis. The obstacle is the enemy master's own strategy. He saw him rushing his summons at the invasion's start. A desperate, ignorant play. The truth clicks. The invading master is new. He is reckless. He doesn't understand the value of his own pieces. And that ignorance just became Kai's biggest advantage. The real war is about information. The voice from the shadows is cold, judgmental. Stretch's goal is efficiency. The obstacle is the waste he sees before him. Rex's transformation is complete as the labyrinth core's power rewrites his very being, shifting his purpose from pure vengeance to leading a revolution for all horned rats. Kai gains a brutal but vital lesson, witnessing the Naga's terrifying power and realizing his own costly overkill, which leaves him coldly analyzing a far more dangerous enemy. The chilling overseer, Stretch, arrives to take control, and his first demand, to locate their missing mercenary trump card, hangs in the air as a dire and unresolved threat.
The first victory just guaranteed their next war was coming. Brian collapses against the wall. His hands are shaking. Every Naga is celebrating the horned rat slaughter, but he feels the violation deeper. The enemy breached his private room. He looks at Dominic, at his workers. The truth hits him like a physical blow. They weren't interested in his labyrinth's core, but they could have been. Master? Is something wrong? Brian's voice comes out flat, cold. A lot, actually. If they were after the core or the workers or you, Dominic. Brian needs Kai to grasp the hierarchy of power. The obstacle is the abstract nature of it. so he breaks it down into brutal, understandable floors. I'll explain in the easiest way possible. Just imagine the floor where you were born and raised as your level. He lays out the caste system of the abyss. Floors 1 to 3 are the higher floors, slightly stronger than a normal man. 4 to 6 are the medium floors, super soldier territory, the core of the GY assault squads. 7 to 9 are the lower floors, monster territory, where strength becomes obvious and arrogance sets in. Kai is listening now, the pieces clicking into place.
Brian shatters Kai's worldview, revealing that the 10th floor and beyond are an unreachable abyss humanity has never conquered. Kai trades his pride and potential earnings for the fragile stability of Brian's deceptive, low-profile plan. With Brian departing on a mission, the entire labyrinth's survival now hinges on a single Naga archer guarding its only exit.
22 lives walk toward the ancient gate. Commander Jun Young, a veteran they call,
wants this done fast. His goal is simple: subjugate the hell spiders on the second floor and get out clean. But his obstacle is his own team, a mix of 7 veteran assault members and 15 greenhorn explorers who don't know the true cost. He gives the final briefing, his voice flat with the weariness of 1,000 runs just like this one. Get in line. Level order. Let's end this quickly.
He needs efficiency, but the team is already a liability. He's sending them in anyway. The levels are called out: 8, 7, 6, 5.
The mercenary's goal is to understand the world he chose. The obstacle is its brutal, simple math. He watches them leave the corpse behind. No ceremony, no second thought. The cost of being a normal explorer is your humanity. Your equipment, expendable. The bitter truth hits him. In here, a normal death is just a logistical problem. No one cares if normals die, he says it to himself. The smell of deodorizer can't cover the stench of the system. But the real problem is already in motion. 1 week later, the goal is a new report at the second floor entrance. The commander lists the results: 2 lizards, 3 minor injuries.
A terse voice cracks through the chaos, ordering camouflage and the rush of dungeon babies to the front line while the regular explorers bunker down. The commander wants to buy time, using the babies' innate senses as a living alarm system. Limited and a ticking 2-hour window block their movement. The cavern's walls close in, and the ever-present spider silk drips menacingly. He forces the group to split, sending the vulnerable to shelter and the gifted forward, hoping their instincts will spot the next threat. The split leaves the front exposed, but at least the bunker holds for now. But the clock ticks louder than any heartbeat.
Hell spiders descend from the ceiling, trapping an explorer and revealing a horrifying, living cavern. Jun Young battles rising panic, desperately fighting to hold back the encroaching darkness and protect his team. A colossal, unknown shape emerges from the shadows, threatening to swallow the explorers whole and shatter their understanding of the dungeon.
Young Ho dances across the chasm, a ridiculous grin plastered on his face. He's trying to impress, show off his agility, but the ledge crumbles beneath his feet. Moa reaches out, a desperate lunge, but her grip slips. The drop yawns. He's about to fail, and Moa's clumsy mistake will doom them all.
Woa.
The fall is coming, but something catches him, and that's not even the worst part. Moa scrambles, her face a mask of horrified apology. She watches Young Ho dangle precariously, a single root his only lifeline. He's laughing, relief flooding his features, but she sees the strain in his arms, the tremor in his fingers. Eugene examines the captured specimens, her brow furrowed in concentration. The information she uncovers sends a chill down Sijuan's spine. Records state that hell spiders are beasts that live in deeper floors. They had never surfaced before that, So the only records we have of them are from the war. We're just warm-ups, is that what you're getting at? Taemin asks, incredulous. Something is deeply wrong here. These are not hell spiders. The implications are terrifying. Sejun paces, his mind racing through every possibility. The differences are undeniable, the size, the fighting style, the vary of the creatures. But hell spiders are much bigger than this. It has no exoskeleton. The epidermis is weak.
A colossal, unknown spider explodes from the shadows, shaking the very ground beneath the team's feet. Cantel's terror is palpable, and Sejun abandons any pretense of reassurance, realizing the gravity of their perilous situation. The team faces an escalating threat, trapped in a meticulously designed trap with a horrifying new enemy emerging. Spiders, spider babies, and a queen. They're all swarming and Jinwoo is down. Explorers scream, scrambling for cover as the ground vibrates with each monstrous step. They shout for someone to get them out of this mess, a desperate plea ripped from their throats. Jinwoo moves before anyone else can breathe, a flicker of blue energy sparking around his hand. He fights to rise, but the web-like threads already bind his legs. And that's not even the worst part. Lee Sejun jolts awake, disorientation flooding him. He hears the calls for help, the frantic energy radiating from the remaining explorers, and the panicked shouts.
Another wave of spiders surges forward, closing the distance. Sejun feels the dungeon shifting, a subtle tremor beneath his feet. Something is changing. He glances over to Jinwoo, a flicker of worry in his eyes. Jinwoo's gaze is fixed on something beyond the immediate threat. He's seen this before, a pattern, a sign. He can't move. Another one's coming. Jinwoo stares, his face pale. A figure emerges from the shadows, silhouetted against the flickering torchlight. It's a humanoid, but twisted, corrupted something. Sejun's breath hitches. He doesn't recognize the form. He should know every monster in this dungeon. What were you staring blankly for? Hurry up and get back here. The figure steps forward, and you trusted that man for 3 years. Sejun watches Jinwoo disappear, a knot of dread tightening in his stomach. He doesn't understand what just happened, but he knows it's dangerous. I'll see you outside. Kong Taemin's voice is tight with worry. He launches the detonator without a second glance. The explosion rips through the spider swarm, clearing a path. But the queen remains, a monstrous shadow in the flickering light.
Are you laughing at me? What ridiculous bunch of spider coward.
The Hell Spider Queen erupts from the dungeon's abyss, her crimson-lit silhouette swallowing light as Jinwoo erupts forward, detonator blazing, carving a desperate path through swarming spiders. Jinwoo bears the full weight of his volatile power, risking annihilation to shield his friends, while Taemin's voice trembles with fear, knowing a single misstep could cost them all their lives. The queen's mandibles snap shut on the fleeing group. Jinwoo vanishes into darkness, and the labyrinth yawns wider, leaving the survivors teetering on the brink of a death-defying unknown.
You feel the cave collapsing, spiders swarm, and the younger warriors must die now. Dominic shouts the plan. One hell spider goes to him, the 2 warriors take the other, soldiers hold the gate, archers lay down fire. Moloch looms, massive and unmoving, the narrow second floor trapping its bulk. The ceiling cracks, dust rains down, and every heartbeat sounds like a falling stone. Jean orders the younger foes cut down first, hoping to thin the numbers before the ceiling gives. The spider's jaws snap, the floor shudders, and a chunk of rock crushes 2 fresh recruits.
You had your chance. Now kneel.
The tunnel seals, but the real danger still waits in the darkness. Jin's void blade shatters the stone wall as the floor collapses, revealing a horde of hell spiders trembling under a newly cursed status ailment. Lyra chants rapid runes, sealing their venom while Cade slams his warhammer into the ground, sending shockwaves that crack the Naga's crystal carapace. The abyssal regents whisper echoes, but Jin's dormant dungeon baby instincts flare, igniting the labyrinth's heart. Jin slams his void blade into the dying Naga soldier, the blade humming as it rips through corrupted flesh. Lyra chants a rune, sealing the wound's lingering poison, while Cade's hammer crushes the fallen warrior's armor into dust. Blood-red sigils flare on the floor, revealing a hidden passage, Mordrax's Black Legion waiting beyond.
Lyra steps forward, desperate to keep the gate from sealing forever. She needs a rune that can bind the collapsing rock, but the ancient glyphs etched into the walls are cracked and half erased. She scrambles, tracing shaky symbols with trembling fingers, while Cade slams his hammer to keep the ceiling from falling. The cracked runes refuse to glow, and a sudden cascade of dust blinds the party. Lyra curses the failing magic, then channels raw mana into the broken glyphs, forcing a weak seal to pulse. The seal holds just long enough for Jin to sprint toward the opening, but a jagged stone strikes his shoulder. The battle steadies, but a new, unseen threat stirs in the shadows. Jin darts toward the collapsing tunnel, his void blade humming as he lures the Spider Queen away while Lyra scrambles to bind the gate, and he slams the salvaged gem onto the altar, igniting a shield. Blood pours from Jin's wound, Dominic's desperate shout rattles the stone, and Lyra's trembling hands risk shattering the ancient glyphs, meaning the gate could seal forever, and their only hope crumbles. The queen erupts dark energy, scattering cursed shards, while the relic in Moloch's grasp flares ominously, and the tunnel's ceiling cracks, leaving the party teetering between salvation and a crushing collapse. Spiders survive while everything else vaporizes, area of effect chose size over power. The magician shouts orders, desperate to finish the swarm. The warriors rush forward, blades flashing, but the massive spider looms, its legs crushing stone. Their attacks splinter smaller foes, yet the titan-sized beast stays untouched, its thick hide shrugging off the blasts. Blood stains the floor as the group realizes raw force won't cut it. They need a plan, not just firepower. The magician glances at the owner's distant voice, hoping a clue will appear. And that's not even the worst part. The owner's cold voice crackles through the void, noting the spider's untouched form.
Kim Jinwo's blood boils as the collapsing tunnel spews ancient runes. The labyrinth's heart flickers, binding his suppressed instincts to the very walls. He shoves a terrified explorer aside, snatches the glowing keystone, and watches the gate seal behind him. The underground whispers his name, and Jinwoo, now reluctant keeper, feels the dormant dungeon baby power surge, demanding a reckoning.
The owner darts ahead of his servants, cutting a path through the crushing darkness, determined to spare the Naga from needless sacrifice. His boldness forces the followers to hold back, trusting his lead despite the looming threat.
The remaining warriors scramble as the owner's shout echoes. Hold on. The owner will. He craves one final blow to finish the spider before it regains its footing. The creature's remaining legs twitch, but a sudden surge of darkness seeps from the walls, cutting off their line of sight. Ignoring the blind rush, the owner thrusts forward, driving his blade straight into the spider's maw, tearing through flesh and fangs alike. The beast collapses in a spray of ash, the echo of its death ringing through the corridor. The cost. A wave of poisonous venom erupts from the corpse, licking the floor and threatening the party's legs.
Jinwoo severs the hell spider's final leg with a shattering ice blast, sending the beast crashing into the slick, green-black ooze as the cavern's walls slam shut, sealing their escape route. The party feels hope ignite as the massive threat falls, yet Jinwoo watches his comrades' breath freeze, fearing the toxin's touch could claim the lives he swore to protect. A creeping tide of poisonous ooze pools where the spider dies, seeping into unseen passages and promising a hidden enemy that could swallow the entire dungeon before anyone escapes. Soldier fell, a mage's arm reassembles, and the altar demands 7 cursed gems. Jinwoo watches his unit crumble, the loss gnawing at his resolve. He needs to prove the Naga that his labyrinth can still rise. The dead soldier's limp body blocks the flow of power, and the lingering dread of permanent unit damage looms. Jinwoo grips the altar, offers the fallen soul, and forces the energy to surge back into the labyrinth's core. The price is steep, a permanent drop in combat power for the sacrificed unit. And that's not even the worst part.
Our fame rises, but the cost haunts us.
Jinwoo leans against the cracked wall, demanding answers. He asks how the group escaped the Hell Spider horde, his voice sharp with disbelief. The Naga sighs, recalling a rumor that running away was impossible, then admits a streak of luck saved them. Jinwoo's eyes narrow, wondering if his own instincts finally aligned with fate. The conversation reveals that none of them expected a clean exit, and the truth feels as fragile as the broken seals. The cost. Trust wavers, and Jinwoo wonders if his suppressed dungeon baby nature finally surfaced.
So what happened? Got lucky and ran? Who said running away was impossible?
The next decision could seal their fate.
The master asks if the labyrinth upgrade finished, craving confirmation that his work pays off. The walls of the abyss shift silently, refusing to reveal any obvious change. The outer rim sees no new towers, only a subtle pulse of down gems humming beneath the stone. He decides to trust the hidden growth, allocating his saved gems for slow development. The price is a lingering impatience. Every quiet floor feels like a ticking bomb waiting to explode.
Upgrade finished a little while ago. It doesn't look like anything changed. More units added, but no new buildings.
He wonders how long the silence will last before the labyrinth screams.
Jinwoo bargains with an unseen ally to ignite the geyser powering his hidden sanctuary, while the master confronts an unexpected visitor at the inner gate, sparking a volatile power shift. He risks forfeiting his long-sought freedom and family redemption, and the master risks surrendering control of the labyrinth for the promise of lucrative trade routes. The mysterious guest steps through as the portal thrums, and the abyss walls pulse ominously, suggesting the allies' aid may demand a fatal price.
Black Merchant's grin seals the pact. Jiwaiser's fate now rides on stolen souls. Jinwoo presses the stranger, demanding proof of the hidden entrance. The merchant sneers, pointing to rumors of a courageous owner who tamed nagas and trapped hell spiders. Jinwoo doubts the tale, but the merchant's eyes flicker with knowledge of every deal in Jiwaiser. He declares he controls the flow of information here, forcing Jinwoo to listen or be left blind. Jinwoo swallows his pride, realizing refusal means the labyrinth's doors stay shut forever. And that's not even the worst part. So how did you find this place?
Of course I knew about this place. He's lying.
The upgrade finishes with a blare, announcing the labyrinth's jump from rank to rank. Jinwoo reads the new options. Unlocked facilities, summoned troops, 6 Naga workers now stationed inside. He feels a rush of triumph, but a flicker of doubt surfaces. He rushed the upgrade, ignoring the usual slow build-up. Still, the system reports that he now controls over 90% of the military forces, freeing him from the energy drain of summoning. Jinwoo smirks, realizing he can expand without the usual setbacks. Yet the rapid growth feels unstable, like a tower built on sand. Curious about rival owners, Jinwoo asks if they are weak, only to learn they simply avoid the surface, preferring isolation.
Exhausted, Jinwoo slams a fist into his own ribcage, realizing he hasn't eaten in hours. He vows to haul a generator into the labyrinth, desperate for a chance to boil ramen and keep his crew alive. A garbled transmission crackles from the control console, its meaning lost in static, but the words parasite and host flash ominously across the screen. The parasite's code syncs with the host's core, stealing precious energy. Jinwoo's breath catches as the system warns of a dominance protocol activating, threatening total takeover. He scrambles to isolate the breach, knowing every second drains his dwindling power.
Jinwoo summons Nagano as the Naga nest expands, turning giant rabbits and black bears into makeshift cattle, while he forces unemployed workers to dig new corridors and set traps. He feels the crushing weight of sacrificed gems gnawing his conscience. His ribs ache from starvation, and searing pain blazes from a drone-wounded eye, threatening his resolve. The portal's dim glow flickers out, the labyrinth's heart hum intensifies, and Jinwoo's ragged breathing echoes, leaving the crew stranded on a barren surface with no exit in sight.
Dungeon babies from the 12th floor don't melt. They vanish. Jinwoo crouches in the empty ruin, his breath shallow, eyes scanning the barren walls for any sign of life. A ragged voice shouts his name, pulling him from the edge of panic. He forces a weak smile, trying to convince the caller that the horror on his face is just a trick of the light. The disease gnaws at his skin, yet he refuses to let fear show. Every heartbeat drums louder, echoing the dread of the deeper labyrinth. He steadies his hand, ready to lie if it means buying a minute. Jinwoo SS, are you all right? The caller's concern might be his only lifeline.
A gruff voice calls out, "You must be Kim Jinwoo, the one who saved Junyoung." Jinwoo stiffens, his heart hammering, because the stranger's praise feels like a trap. The man introduces himself as Jong Chansik, level, and claims luck brought him here. Jinwoo forces a smile, trying to hide his suspicion, while the man's nervous laugh betrays fear of monsters. Suddenly, a nearby explorer screams, "Heek, a monster!" and bolts, turning the encounter into a chaotic scramble. Jinwoo realizes the reputation of the dungeon babies precedes them, and his own name becomes a beacon for danger.
You're the captain now.
Let's move, everyone.
Jinwoo watches the attendant shuffle through the cramped hallway, shoulders slumped.
The party spreads out, each member checking the gloom with their own sense. One member admits his ability can't sense anything, insisting the risk is low. Another frets over the labyrinth's size, fearing they'll lose their way, but the scout confidently repeats the memorized route. A dwarf grunts approval, seeing the venture as perfect practice for expanding his own labyrinth. The leader nods, sealing the decision. They will push toward the central chamber, rumored to be the owner's room. Footsteps echo, torchlight flickers, and the crew moves deeper, each step a promise to prove the captain right. The deeper they go, the more the walls seem to close in on their resolve.
The captain unleashes his cheat-like awareness, anticipating an ambush and shattering the sealed archway in a coordinated strike that reveals snarling Nagas poised to strike. Jinwoo watches his confidence crumble, while a fragile hope ignites as his teammates survive the sudden onslaught. A colossal Naga erupts from the darkness, eyes locking onto the party, leaving their escape hanging on a razor-thin thread.
You watch the wounded man clutch his side, blood seeping through torn cloth. He curses his own weakness, muttering that a descendant of dragons should not bleed so easily. G.Y. steps forward, voice steady, reminding him that ancient dragons move slowly, that patience will heal. The man snarls, demanding 3 months to recover, fearing the imposter Rick SC will claim his place. G.Y.'s calm blocks his panic, but the wound still throbs, promising a fever. The injured explorer forces a grin, accepting the delay, while his mind races to protect the hidden owner room. And that's not even the worst part. Patience, ancient dragon blood runs deep. Jinwoo's lantern sputters as the cursed stone shatters, spilling a vortex of black mist onto the chamber floor. The void edge flares, cleaving through the swirling abyss while Lyriel chants a rune, sealing the breach.
Garrick slams his gauntlet fist into the lingering shards, sending tremors that crack the ceiling. Behind them, Lord Asterian's cold laughter echoes, promising a deadlier gate on the next floor. Jinwoo clutches the pulsing crystal as the labyrinth walls reshape, his void edge humming with power. Lyriel sketches a sigil mid-fight, channeling runes to seal a collapsing corridor. Garrick slams his stone fist into a gatekeeper, sending shards of corrupted deity flesh scattering.
Jinwoo thrusts Void Edge, cleaving the black mist as Lyriel seals the vortex with a blinding rune, while Garrick slams Stone Fist into the collapsing corridor, forcing the abyss to recoil. Jinwoo feels his resolve crack under the parasite's whisper. Lyriel watches his trembling, and the team teeters between salvation and madness, fearing the loss of each other's souls. The sealed door stays barred. Huijun clutches the glowing crystal, and an unseen beast prowls the shadows, ready to strike as the dungeon's heartbeat quickens. Shatters a floor-level dungeon baby in a single heartbeat, tearing through its defenses like a storm. 30 snarling beasts surge forward, claws glinting, each roar promising a swift end. He feels the cold certainty of death clawing at his throat, but his grip on the blade tightens. He lunges, slicing the nearest monster before its teeth reach his skin, buying himself a heartbeat. Blood splatters, the ground trembles, and the remaining beasts hesitate, their rhythm broken. He knows every missed strike could be his last. And that's not even the worst part. The opponent strikes once, and the impact would crush a stone wall. The parasite, now synced, claws at Jinwoo's life to keep its host alive. A desperate symbiosis born of survival. "We're done here. Me too." He shouts, his voice ragged, as the battle's end looms. He remembers the pact. Half his power for safe passage, yet the parasite siphons 70%, leaving him drained. He curses the bargain, pleading for the explorer's understanding of his skill's cost. The floor's doors creak open, inviting the next wave of monsters, while Jinwoo's stamina wanes. He knows every extra gem he claims now costs a deeper piece of himself. "You said you take half, but you took percent." The group gathers around a flickering campfire, the heat barely cutting through the chill of the 7th floor. Luna pulls out a crumpled flyer, reading aloud about the Exploration Association, a government-backed guild that masquerades as a tyrant gang, sealing off labyrinth entrances for profit. Rex scoffs, pointing to the swelling list of registered members, each line a promise of more blood and gold. The crew realizes the real enemy isn't the monsters but a well-armed bureaucracy feeding on the dungeon's chaos. Their plan to sneak past now risks drawing the association's wrath, turning allies into hunted. A low hum vibrates through the stone as the parasite attached to Jinwoo's wrist pulses, measuring the strength of each opponent. Jinwoo erupts, channeling the dormant dungeon baby blood into a blinding sigil that shatters the spider-infested corridor and forces the hidden horde to retreat. He seizes the chance to claim the coveted relic, but the parasite on his wrist spikes, draining his life force and leaving him teetering between triumph and annihilation. The surviving explorers march forward, eyes locked on the glowing sigil, while the parasite's ominous hum hints at a deeper, unseen threat waiting to strike once the cavern collapses. Lee Junho slashes the stone wall as Mira-sun chants a rune, sealing a cascade of spikes. Bolt Park fires a thunder-charged arrow that shatters the crystal, revealing Archon Valter's throne room. The king of the labyrinth roars, its massive form looming behind Valtor, while Lady Seraphine summons a wave of shades. Jinwoo's dormant instincts flare, and his hand grips the newly won labyrinth key. Jinwoo's heart hammered as the collapsing tunnel slammed shut, sealing the dungeon of the gods behind him. Lee Junho lunged forward, blade humming, while Mira-sun etched a protective rune that flared blue. Bolt Park unleashed a crackling volley, scattering skeletal sentinels, and Gwen whispered a hidden lever's location. Every step out of the GY Ser feels haunted. Past expeditions never survived the final turn. A voice calls, demanding payment, and Jinwoo's pulse spikes. Why does it feel strange to see everyone alive? He notes the Explorer Association's name, Song Jong-chul, and decides to dig deeper, suspecting a link between the labyrinth's appraisal and the missing explorers. The cost of curiosity bites. A hidden ledger surfaces, hinting at a deeper conspiracy that could bind them forever to the dungeon's will. The mystery deepens, and the next clue could shatter everything. A grizzled veteran describes Song Jong-chul as the association's brute, his reputation as loud as his sword. Jean bursts into the tavern, forces the underelf to reveal a map, and, as the lanterns flare, a horde of savage bandits crashes through the door, sealing the room in blood-soaked chaos. Jean feels his heart snap as his crew watches, fearing betrayal, while he risks their lives for a chance at the Naga's treasure, each breath weighing the loss of comrades against his relentless ambition. Now the spider-infested tunnel throbs with venomous webs, the underelf vanishes into darkness, and the bandits' leader snarls, promising a deadly showdown that could shatter Jin's fragile alliance forever. Naga King's blade crashes into the underworld mercenary as darkness shatters the throne. The underelf, Rick SC has Cha, snarls, demanding respect for his bloodline. The king, his crown humming with ancient power, refuses, claiming the throne belongs to those who survive the abyss. Their clash stalls the throng of onlookers, each waiting for the other's next move. Rick lunges, his speed blurring, but the king counters with a sweeping strike that grazes his shoulder, leaving a hiss of blackened wind. Blood drips, pride burns, and the cavern trembles with the promise of more violence.
Scouting, searching, and collecting information. Perfect. You're hired.
Kim Jin-woo's pulse hammered as the abyssal labyrinth's walls reconfigured, the training hall flickering into a gauntlet of cursed glyphs. Jin barked orders, Lyra's hands glowing with salvaged healing sigils while shades slipped through shadows, planting explosives. Torin roared, slamming a massive beast-tamed golem into General Varkos's iron fist. Idolan's cold voice crackled, "You cannot own sin," but Jin-woo grinned, claiming the maze as his own.
Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. Jin-woo tallies his daily income, each low-grade down gem worth 3 points. He flips the ledger, the numbers stacking like tiny trophies. A memory of the last raid flashes. He overspent, the gold vanishing into a single reckless purchase.
The mercenary leans against cold stone, trying to prove he isn't just a wanderer. He wants to convince the others that his past gives him insight, yet the human's layered underworld map blocks his understanding. He asks the group if they recall the old human theory of dividing the lower realms, and a scholar nods, recalling the legend. The mercenary admits his upbringing blinds him to that logic, and the scholar offers a tentative explanation, easing the tension. Their brief exchange grants Rick a sliver of context, but the deeper mystery of the labyrinth's design stays out of reach.
Jin-woo flips the ledger, the low-grade gems snapping into place as the commander's demand for troop numbers forces the party to confront a sudden, deadly beast ambush deep within the Naga labyrinth. Rick SC has Cha stakes his reputation against the Naga King, his desperate plea for acknowledgement risking exile, while the mercenary's concealed past threatens to shatter fragile alliances and betrayals simmer among the survivors. The echoing master reverberates off stone walls, leaving the labyrinth's true depth unknown and the fate of the missing elf mercenary hanging in a silent, looming void. Days away, a blood leopard guards a forgotten labyrinth that devours armies. Your guide points to the Flood Dragon King's domain, a massive maze that predates the Great War. He tells you the dragon is the oldest labyrinth master, his throne untouched for centuries. You ask how far it lies. He says a direct trek takes 4 days, but the path snakes through hostile territory. The knowledge makes the guide uneasy. He knows the dragon's power could crush any force that dares approach. He tightens his grip on his map, aware that every step brings them closer to a sleeping titan. The guide argues the labyrinth's age guarantees overwhelming size, elite monsters, and endless traps.
Kim Jin-woo grips the cold stone of his newly claimed labyrinth, the ancient runes pulsing beneath his fingertips. As the portal flickers, Jun-woo bursts in, bow drawn, while Mira shouts warnings and cane slices through the spawning stone golems. The walls tremble, echoing Celine's distant chant, and Jin-woo's dormant instincts roar to life, demanding he claim the maze, or watch it devour everything.
Jin-woo called me first? What's the matter? Do you still want to repay me for saving your life?
Jin-woo stalks the dim corridor, his hand clenched around the ancient key that sealed his new labyrinth. The Naga King's contempt turns to fury as he spots a lone human stepping forward. He demands a report to his unseen superiors, fearing the human's presence will expose his weakness. The human, trembling but defiant, declares he will face the king himself, echoing a lineage he's heard 100 times. The king's lieutenant, Dominique, steps forward, eager to start the bloodshed. The human scoffs, calling the ambush cowardly, his voice shaking the stone pillars. The tension spikes, and the king's forces tighten their grip, ready to crush the challenger.
Humane, why is a human? We need to report back to an Axtus Nim.
Junwoo, Mira, and Kane burst through the collapsing gap, seizing the fleeing Naga worker as the Flood Dragon King's minions close in, forcing a desperate showdown at the throne's entrance. Mira feels her family's promises ignite within her, knowing the throne's power could finally end the Flood Dragon King's reign, while Kane risks his life to extract the labyrinth's location before the entrance seals forever. The Naga King snarls, his guards wavering as a worker watches, and the human's defiant words hang in the air, leaving the throne's gate ajar and the Flood Dragon King's next move shrouded in menace. The labyrinth's iron walls clang as Jinwa's suppressed blood roars to life. He slams the ancient gatekeeper sigil into the floor, summoning jagged spikes that rip the pursuing monsters apart. Around him, Junho and his Aegis squad unleash a torrent of arrows and shield crashes, carving a bloody corridor toward the glowing core. Jinwa's dormant instincts ignite, and the dungeon trembles under his newfound rule. Kim Jin was pulse-hammered as the Flood Dragon's roar shattered the stone, the Naga's warning echoing through the newly claimed labyrinth. He clenched his guide's relic, feeling dormant power surge, while Lee Junho and his Aegis squad burst in, arrows thudding, shields splintering walls.
The portal erupts above Seoul, and a surge of monsters drags Kim Jinwoo's family into the newborn dungeon. Amid the chaos, Jinwoo's dormant powers flare. The labyrinth's core recognizes him as its new gatekeeper. He snarls, clutching the pulsing relic, and commands stone walls to shift, sealing the breach while the terrified survivors stare in awe. Manwa with Hari the abyss yawns open, and the darkness below begins to pulse with a new, terrifying rhythm.
Jinwoo snarls, fists gripping the relic as the Flood Dragon King looms. He wants the Naga to stop bleeding money and power into his hands. The dragon's massive tail sweeps the corridor, crushing pillars and cutting off escape. You feel the cold dread of a hidden vulnerability whispering in your mind. Jinwa's eyes lock on the narrow gap between the dragon's wing blades, the only place the scales thin. He decides that spot will be his next strike, trusting the ancient lore that even dragons bleed. The creature senses the shift, its wings flaring, wind slashing his face, trying to throw him off balance. Ignoring the gale, Jinwoo darts forward, his relic humming, and thrusts his spear toward the exposed joint. The blade bites, tearing a jagged wound that erupts black ichor, and the dragon convulses, its roar cracking the cavern. Jinwoo drives his parasite-enhanced armor into the Flood Dragon King's thin wing blade gap, shattering the beast's shimmering scales and forcing the colossal dragon to stagger, its massive tail whipping molten magma toward the vault. He feels searing pain from a hidden spear, blood flooding his side, yet his resolve sharpens as he clings to the shattered wall, determined to survive long enough to expose the dragon's weakness and claim the treasure. The dragon's wounded roar echoes, the Naga commander bellows for reinforcements, and a cascade of falling pillars threatens to bury Jinwoo alive, leaving his fate and the vault's safety hanging by a razor-thin thread.
The moment Jinwoo's aura flared, the cavern trembled and the very air crackled with raw power. Kong Heijin snarled, void blade humming, while Lyra Sun loosed a silver arrow that sliced the humming distortion. Miri froze time around the trembling stone, forcing the shaking ground to halt. Even General Kuro halted his advance, eyes wide as Jinwoo finally stood, his dormant dungeon baby instincts unleashed.
The gate erupts as Jinwoo's guide party collapses, and the crumbling stone seals snap shut around him. The labyrinth's heart pulses, recognizing its new master. Jinwoo's dormant powers flare, carving sigils into the walls.
The mercenary clutches a cracked dragon fang, shouting his oath to the Naga King, because he believes a vow to a dragon will buy protection. The master scoffs, seeing the oath as a flimsy shield, and calls the mercenaries' claim a joke. The dragon's ancient code blocks any false promise, threatening instant death to anyone who breaks it. The mercenaries' trembling confession fuels the master's contempt, and the dragon's unseen magic begins to tighten around his throat. The cost is a searing pain that threatens to shatter his very soul. Dragons are noble, egotistical species. Their vow is a restriction they love.
Kim Jin-woo's heart pounds as the cursed gate flares, sealing his fate. The labyrinth's iron doors slam shut, and the ancient runes crown him its new master. Across the surface, Kong Hae-jin, Lyra-sun, and Miri sprint toward the beacon, blades and arrows humming, while Lord Zephyrus watches, his grin widening. Jinwoo's suppressed instincts have finally ignited the war's next nightmare.
Kim Jin-woo slams the glyph-etched console, forcing the fragmented maps to fuse into a single, glowing lattice. The newly synchronized labyrinth flashes open, revealing the hidden gem vault he swore never to touch.
Jinwoo slams the glyph-etched console, fusing shattered maps into a blinding lattice that tears open the hidden gem vault, while the cursed gate erupts, sealing his fate as the labyrinth's new master. He feels the weight of ancient power surge through him, gaining unrivaled control yet losing the chance to rescue Kong, Lyra, and Miri, whose screams echo beyond the closing doors. The labyrinth's walls begin reshaping into a dead-end corridor, the void blade humming ominously as an unseen force threatens to crush Jinwoo's newfound reign, leaving his survival hanging by a thread. You hear the ticking of the underworld's clock and feel the weight of every missing day. Jinwoo returns to the master's chamber, eyes scanning the empty tables. He asks if anything moved while he was gone, and the master shakes his head, the silence louder than any battle cry. Jinwoo pushes further, demanding to know what happened when he breached the third floor, his voice tight with the need for answers. The master's only reply is a weary yes. It was very quiet, a void that fuels Jinwoo's dread. The quiet hides a storm waiting to break. Master, nothing happened in the 2 days I was gone, right? Yes, it was very quiet.
Jinwoo slams the map onto the table, eyes blazing. The blood leopard's lair lies ahead, silent as a phantom, deadly as a blade. Lyriel knocks her cursed bow, while Garrick hefts his stone-bound axe, muscles coiled. Myri flicks a temporal shard, freezing the air for a heartbeat. Jinwoo issues the command, and the party melts into hushed shadows, ready to turn the ambush on its hunter.
Jinwoo slams his broadsword into the pulsating stone, shattering the glyph that sealed the fourth floor. Lyriel's cursed bow whistles, arrows igniting the darkness as Garrick lunges, his hammer cracking the cavern's spine. Myri snaps time, freezing the abyssal regent's tendrils mid-reach.
The stranger admits a twisted affection for the parasite's host, his voice trembling with a mix of admiration and dread. He wants to claim the bond as his own, but his own memories betray him. He has no true link to either the Flood Dragon or the Naga Labyrinth. The lack of lineage fuels his desperation, pushing him to cling to any fragment that offers purpose. He sighs, shoulders slumping as the weight of his false heritage crushes his resolve. The confession leaves him more isolated, his claim to any labyrinth shattered. What comes next changes everything. You feel the raw sting of vengeance burning through his veins.
The interrogator forces Jinwoo to confess his double life, exposing the hidden parasite bond and demanding proof that the Flood Dragon's bite never killed his ally. Jinwoo feels his soul ripped apart as the truth threatens to shatter his fragile alliance, while the stranger's twisted affection ignites a burning vengeance against the Spirit King, leaving him teetering between rage and ruin. The Spirit King's lingering aura seals the labyrinth's exit, and the echoing warning that looking back seals doom hangs over Jinwoo, who stands on the brink of a trap no retreat can escape. Jinwoo lunges through the crumbling archway as the core dungeon's walls pulse with violet energy, his Riftwalker instincts screaming. Lyra chants a binding rune, sealing a surge of void spawn, while Cain slams his hammer into the stone, shattering a hidden trap. Vraxus roars, hurling shadow tendrils, but Jinwoo slashes them wide, claiming the labyrinth's heart and finally answering the call his blood, leopard lineage whispered. Jinwoo slams the gate open, the stone trembling as Vraxus's crimson eyes flare. Lyra chants an ancient sigil, scattering a wave of luminous glyphs that shred the lurking shadows. Cain hoists his warhammer, shattering a cascade of spikes while Ares' healing aura flares, stitching wounds in an instant. Jinwoo slams the stone door shut as the core dungeon's walls pulse with malignant energy, Lyra's eyes blazing while she chants a sealing rune. Cain hammers a reinforcing brace into the trembling floor, and Talon darts forward, snatching the cursed amulet from Vraxus's grasp. Ares' healing light flares, stitching wounds in seconds, just as Malakar's distant chant threatens to shatter the gate forever. The silence after his words hides a storm that's about to break. You feel the weight of 1,000 stone walls pressing in, as if the labyrinth itself breathes. The remaining glyphs flicker, their light dimming as the required sigils finally align. Jinwoo's goal shifts to activating the ancient lock that will bind the serpent's power. The obstacle looms. The lock sits behind a cascade of falling debris, each stone threatening to crush them. He grabs a broken pillar, hurls it at the ceiling, creating a temporary opening, then darts forward, pulling the lock into view. The mechanism clicks, sealing a portion of the serpent's path. Yet a new crack spreads across the floor, threatening to swallow the party whole. What comes next changes everything. The Hall of Heroes awakens, resonating with the desperate plea of the Naga soldier buried deep within the labyrinth. Jinwoo forces the team through the collapsing passage, sealing the cursed glyphs as the labyrinth's core trembles on the brink of total ruin. He watches the wounded king's banner flutter, feeling every oath shatter as his promise to protect crumbles into doubt and blood-soaked resolve. The ancient lock flickers, its final sigil missing, while the Hall of Heroes awakens, demanding a sacrifice that could either bind the serpent's power or unleash a darkness none can survive. The apex predator falls, and the shadows surge to claim the dungeon. Jinwoo Kim, once a special forces ghost, now leads the expedition, his void blade humming with restless power. He wants the abyss' deepest relic before the cataclysm awakens. The labyrinth twists, sealing exits and spawning twisted guardians that block every forward step. He slashes through the first wave, blood spattering stone, and forces a cracked doorway open. The cost? One of his scouts drops, clutching a shattered rune, his breath fading into the darkness. And that's not even the worst part. Lyra's son traces a trembling rune on the wall, her eyes locked on the pulsing glyph.
Stay subbed to Manwa with Hari, or you'll miss the climax. But the real problem is already in motion. Jinwoo lunges forward, slashing the obsidian gate with his void blade as crackling violet energy erupts from the wound. Lyra chants, sealing the fissure while Haru fires a rain of arrows that pierce the shifting walls. The labyrinth trembles, revealing a hidden chamber pulsing with ancient runes. Gearhead's drone hovers, scanning the symbols and transmitting coordinates to Commander Choi. Jinwoo's instincts flare, urging him to claim the relic before the abyss seals again.
Jinwoo slams his fist into the stone altar, sparking a cascade of violet glyphs that pulse like a heartbeat.
Jinwoo scrambles to free Lyra, his focus shifting to the strange sigil etched on the chamber wall, an ancient ward that pulses with a faint, amber glow. He knows the ward hides a key to the next tier, but the glyph's pattern is half erased, forcing him to guess the correct sequence. He presses his palm against the cold stone, feeling the magic thrumming beneath his skin. The ward reacts, sliding open a narrow passage while a rush of stale air rushes out, carrying the scent of rust and old blood. The opening costs them precious time as the ceiling begins to crumble. The collapsing ceiling forces them to sprint forward, unaware of what lurks beyond. Jinwoo shatters the obsidian gate with a void blade strike, unleashing violet energy that erupts into a spiraling vortex, while Lyra's binding chant seals the fissure and Haru's arrows pierce the shifting walls. Lyra's sealing spell saves the party from being devoured by the rogue corridor, but Jinwoo feels the crushing weight of unseen eyes and the looming threat of the Echo Sisters tightening their grip on their souls. The living barrier reforms as Lord Arcturus emerges from shadow, leaving the team trapped in a pulse-racing labyrinth where the key to the next tier flickers behind an ancient amber ward.
Jinwoo slams the newly claimed labyrinth's iron gate shut, feeling the dormant pulse of his dormant dungeon baby blood surge. Lyra knocks an arrow, Gorak hefts his warhammer, and Mira chants a protective hymn as the cavern trembles. A guttural roar erupts, Lord Varko's shadowy minions flood the entrance, and Jinwoo's Rift Walker instincts ignite, daring him to claim the abyss as his own.
The expedition's torch sputtered. Then the cavern collapsed, sealing Jinwoo inside the newly claimed labyrinth. He felt the dormant Rift Walker pulse awaken, the abyssal blade humming against his palm. Lyra's arrows rang through the darkness, Gorak's hammer shattered stone, and the Void Empress's whisper echoed from the walls. You stare at the countdown, fearing you won't finish the labyrinth's upgrade in time. Your goal is to reinforce the maze before the dragon's arrival, but the Lord already knows your plans, hinting he planted a parasite in you. The parasite's existence blocks trust, and the lie fuels paranoia. You demand the truth, forcing the Lord to admit deception. He laughs, confirming the parasite was a ruse, leaving you reeling from betrayal. The cost. Your confidence shatters, and the labyrinth's fate hangs on a fragile lie. By attaching a parasite on me. Oh, that was a lie. Now you wonder which enemy is more dangerous, outside monsters or inside whispers. Jean turns to his own plans, promising to harvest down gems from the low-level labyrinth and forge new weapons. He tells his men they have 3 days to return with a solid strategy based on Rick's intel, while Rick scouts the surrounding area. The group clings to the belief that the monsters are merely a little better than horned rats, trying to downplay the looming threat. Their optimism fuels frantic digging, but every pickaxe strike drains stamina and chips away at morale. The cost surfaces as bruised hands and a growing sense that the rats may already be evolving. The camp bustles with silent urgency. Jinwoo forces Rick to swear loyalty and orders him to retrieve intel while flood dragons approach, turning the camp's desperate preparations into a high-stakes gamble. Jinwoo risks losing his crew's trust and his own honor, betting everything on uncertain intel and promised down gems as the Lord watches his hesitation. With flood dragons looming in 5 days and the loading bar stuck at V64, Jinwoo watches the clock tick, unsure if Rick's false pledge holds or the monsters breach the camp.
The Eclipse Guild gathers in the dim hall as Lyra slams a sealed scroll onto the table, announcing the final briefing. Naga soldiers, 10 warriors, no quietus, plus archers, healers, 5 mages, and 2 gatekeepers, are ready for deployment. Heijin's chrono key flickers, syncing with the labyrinth's pulse, while Mira loads an arrow, Terran hefts his hammer, and Sora mutters a rune, each feeling the weight of the looming abyss. Jinwoo's lantern flickers as the flood dragons roar, their massive wings crushing the cavern's ceiling. Heijin slams his chrono key, rewinding the blast while Lyra slices a glowing rune, and Myra's arrows pierce the commander's scaled chest. The labyrinth shudders, its ancient heart awakening, and Jinwoo's dormant instincts flare, demanding blood.
The flood dragons roar as Heijin slams the chrono key into the cavern's heart, rewinding the collapsing pillars while Lyra's blade cleaves a wave of magma. Myra's arrows pierce the startled Naga, and Terran shatters their scales with a thunderous hammer strike. Above, Lord Varka snarls, but the abyssal warden flickers. Time itself bends to the guide-turned-labyrinth lord's will. The dust settles as the flood dragons roar, counting bodies. 0 to 1, then 1 to 1-0, the numbers flicker like a dying heartbeat. The commander eyes the tally, desperate to claim victory. Yet the echo of fallen Naga chants reverberates, reminding him of the price paid.
You watch your champion fall, the world shattering around you. Blaze grips his sword, desperate to avenge the fallen hero and restore morale. The enemy's flood dragons block every retreat path, and the commander's banner lies torn, a symbol of broken command. Blaze roars the loss, rallying the remaining troops to form a desperate line. The men stagger forward, bruised but alive, while the corpse of their leader sinks into the mud, sealing their resolve with blood. Blaze, the hero was defeated. Our commander was defeated. Their next move must defy the impossible. Echo spots a massive dragon coiled beside the enemy ranks, its wings beating a thunderous warning. Kim Jinwoo slams a dormant rune, forcing the labyrinth's walls to reforge around him as a colossal flood dragon coils beside the enemy ranks, its thunderous wings tearing the stone sky. His dragon blood surges, granting him near-godlike flame resistance, while his comrade Blaze crashes to death, shattering the squad's morale and leaving Jinwoo bearing the weight of a dying hope. Echoes slip through squad stalls behind collapsing stone as the dragon's roar shakes the cavern, and no safe exit remains, leaving the battlefield poised on the brink of annihilation. Blood dragons screeched as they spiraled over the crumbling balcony, their molten breath scorching the stone. Jinwoo lunged forward, brandishing his dormant dungeon baby power, and barked, "Hold your fire!" Mira Sparrow darted between the beasts, slashing a glowing rune that froze their wings. Garrick Voss roared, swinging his massive hammer to shatter the dragon's armor, while Hyunwoo's chrono key flickered, rewinding the moment just enough for Jinwoo to seize the labyrinth's ancient sigil. The party surged onward, the echo of shattered scales ringing through the maze. Kim Jinwoo snarls as the cursed stone collapses, sealing the entrance behind him. The labyrinth's walls pulse with ancient runes, and his dormant dungeon baby blood roars to life. The horizon, counting 300 mid-sized catapulting flood dragons launching molten rocks at his dwindling forces. He wants to turn their barrage against the king, buying precious seconds. The dragon's sheer number outmatches the entire Naga army, their roar drowning out any shout. Jinwoo signals Eri to ignite a timed explosion beneath the catapults, hoping the blast will create a wall of fire. The explosion erupts, sending a wave of flame that engulfs half the dragons, but the remaining ones redirect their payloads toward the Naga ranks. The cost erupts in a rain of fire, scorching the soldiers and leaving Jinwoo's line shattered. "Fire! Take cover now!" The Flood Dragon King watches, his patience wearing thin.
Light flickers across the crystal hallway as Lee Hyunwoo slams the chrono key into the ancient lock, forcing the 57th floor's gate to grind open. Mira darts forward, dismantling spiked pressure plates with fluid precision while Garrick hoists a massive wormhole, crushing the stone guardian that erupts from the wall. Eri tosses a glowing tincture, healing their wounds in an instant, and Talon rigs a steam-driven turret to guard the newly won passage.
The frontline scouts report no siege type or champion flood dragons, just the usual drakes skittering over the bridge. Hyunwoo's pulse spikes as the right wall of the castle gives way, a massive crack spiderwebbing across stone. The party shatters the deceptive Earthcliff illusion, sending a torrent of enemies plummeting into the abyss, while the remaining foes scramble across the crumbling bridge. Dominique mourns 2 fallen soldiers and a warrior, yet the loss fuels Hyunwoo's resolve as the Flood Dragon's storm looms, threatening to drown every hard-won victory. A colossal crack spiderwebs across the castle's right wall, exposing a yawning darkness that swallows light, leaving the heroes teetering on the brink of an unknown, deadly abyss. Dragon champions crash through the breached wall, their massive wings crushing stone like paper. The soldiers gasp as the siege-class beast roars, its firelight painting the battlefield crimson. Jin's heartbeat spikes. His only goal is to keep the core from being swallowed whole. The dragon's sheer size blocks every escape route, its jaws snapping at any who dare approach. Jin rushes forward, slashing at a vulnerable joint, sparks flying from his blade. The creature staggers, buying the defenders a breath, but a second roar signals more monsters pouring in. Let the blood leopard loose on the bridge. Chaos erupts as the remaining defenders scramble to fill the breach left by the fallen leopard.
Jinwoo slams the ancient stone door shut, feeling the labyrinth pulse against his skin as the cursed glyphs flare. Lyra knocks an arrow, Cade hoists his warhammer, and the Silver Blade Guild's banner snaps in the underground wind. A guttural roar erupts from the depths, Lord Varka's minions swarm, but Jinwoo's dormant instincts ignite, and the maze becomes his weapon. If you want more daily recaps, hit that subscribe button now.
Jinwoo spots the massive flood dragon wedged at the Naga Labyrinth's gate. He knows the beast's primary objective: smash through to the core and unleash chaos. The dragon's bulk blocks the only passage, and the Naga defenders can't push it back. Panic ripples through the camp as the flood dragon's roar shatters the air. The broken line, desperate to regroup. Half of the left flank lies in ash, the rest trembling. The flood dragon swoops lower, its wings beating a thunderous cadence that rattles stone. Jinwoo barks orders, urging the blood leopard to charge the beast while Lyra loads a volley of explosive arrows. Cade slams his warhammer into the ground, sending a shockwave that cracks the dragon's talons. The beast crashes into the blood leopard, both staggering, but the dragon's weight crushes the beast's spine, ending its charge. Yet the dragon's belly opens, spewing fire that ignites the remaining defenders, and the left flank collapses into a smoking abyss.
Half our left flank is gone. The flood dragon joined.
The next wave threatens to swallow the whole battlefield. Jinwoo shatters the flood dragon's charge by hurling Lyra's explosive arrows into its maw, forcing the beast to recoil and exposing the Naga labyrinth's core to a searing cascade of fire. Lyra watches her arrows ignite the dragon's heart, feeling hope surge as the looming annihilation recedes. While Jinwoo grapples with the crushing loss of his left flank, its warriors reduced to ash. The dragon's wounded roar echoes, and the cavern trembles as a shadowy, unseen force drifts toward the now vulnerable core, leaving the heroes on the brink of a cataclysmic showdown.
Kim Jinwoo clutches the trembling map as the collapsing expedition buries his team beneath collapse shards. A guttural roar reverberates, Lord Astor's Iron Legion breaches the sealed gate, and the labyrinth's ancient heart flares, binding the bewildered guide to its core. Jinwoo's suppressed instincts ignite, he raises his hand, and the walls pulse, recognizing a new dungeon master. Kim Jinwoo's guide lantern flickers as the collapsing cavern seals around him, and the ancient stone door erupts, his dormant instincts roar to life. The newly claimed labyrinth shudders, summoning a feral wave of monsters that Mira slashes through while Heijin, reborn Demon King, snarls at the Abyssal Queen's whisper.
Kim Jinwoo's blood boils as the cursed labyrinth seals shut behind him, its walls pulsing with ancient runes. The ground shudders, and a guttural roar erupts. Kong Heijin, the awakened Demon King, stands atop a shattered throne, eyes blazing. Mira swings her blade, Jinwoo unleashes void spirals, and the once-tamed monster Rex snarls, ready to defend the new master of the dungeon. Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes. The party scrambles for a way to fell the Flood Dragon King. Their goal: find a weapon that can pierce its scaled hide. The obstacle: everyone assumes only a gun could do it, yet the master shakes his head, insisting no firearm exists. The echo of the trap reverberates, shaking loose ancient dust that blinds the remaining warriors. A low chant rises from the deep, a warning the old scholars never mentioned. Their goal: find a safe exit before the cavern collapses. The obstacle: the floor cracks widen, spilling molten rock toward the only remaining doorway. The Naga King steadies his mount, using his serpentine tail to brace the breach, while the exhausted fighters press forward, slipping on slick ash. The tunnel finally gives way, opening a narrow shaft that leads upward, but the sudden surge throws several fighters into the void below. The cost: the Naga King's banner tears, and the dragon's roar returns, promising another wave of fury. The ascent begins, but the darkness below still claws at them. The Flood Dragon King erupts, spewing a searing torrent that shatters the battlefield as the Hari squad scrambles to thrust the hidden, blunt force relic into the beast's armored throat. Quietus feels the crushing weight of loss as comrades crumble to flame. Yet the moment the dragon's roar falters, he grasps a fleeting hope that the ancient weapon might finally turn the tide. The dragon's massive wings beat a vortex that tears the dungeon's ceiling apart, exposing a yawning abyss while a low chant reverberates, promising an unseen horror waiting beyond the crumbling exit. Parasite senses a deadly threat, and the cavern shudders, stones cracking around them. The fighter's body tightens, muscles shedding bulk as a lean silhouette. Sensors flare, marking dozens of weak spots across his flesh. He knows the only way to survive is to flip from pure defense into a full offense surge, hoping to strike before the parasite adapts. He darts forward, each step a calculated gamble, aiming his blade at the glowing nodes. The parasite recoils, its tendrils snapping back in pain, but its warning pulse spreads, warning that every hit fuels its rage. And that's not even the worst part.
Jinwoo's lantern sputters as the collapsing expedition burrows deeper, and the stone walls seal around him. His blood pulses with dormant dungeon baby power. The ancient gate shudders, recognizing its new master, and molten runes crawl across the floor, forging a labyrinth of his own. Jinwoo grips the freshly welded rune blade, eyes blazing,
knowing the surface world will never be his only home again. The surge knocks Jinwoo back, and the true horror of the parasite awakens. Jinwoo's lantern flickers as the collapsing expedition burrows him into the heart of the eternal dungeon. The walls pulse with raw runecraft, and his dormant dungeon baby instincts roar awake. You feel the panic surge as the dying combatant claws at the floor, pleading for a master that never arrives. "Master!" he gasps, eyes wide, then stumbles into a sob. "No, no!" His voice cracks, the words trailing into a choking, "has fallen." A cold, mechanical tick begins, numbers flashing on the wall. Seconds remaining, seconds remaining. The countdown hammers the air, each tick a blade edging closer to the labyrinth's next rank upgrade. Jinwoo's heart pounds. He knows the upgrade will empower the maze, sealing his chance to escape. He lunges, trying to smash the timer, but the ancient stone resists, its magic unyielding.
Jinwoo shatters the parasite's core, forcing it into a violent hibernation as the labyrinth's runes flare, sealing the Flood Dragon King's knelt reverence into a blinding surge of power. He feels the crushing weight of survival and betrayal, his dormant dungeon baby instincts roaring awake while the dying comrade's desperate cries echo, reminding him that every heartbeat costs a soul. The parasite's tendrils twitch back to life, darkening the chamber as an unseen force drags the lantern's flame toward oblivion, leaving Jinwoo staring into a void that threatens to consume the entire dungeon.
Naga strength spikes 30%, the labyrinth's walls pulse brighter, and Jinwoo's revival echoes through the twisting corridors. The upgraded maze spreads like a living tide, swallowing more ground with each heartbeat. Jinwoo, still shaky from his recent resurrection, eyes the expanding borders, desperate to regain control before the surge overwhelms his fragile hold. The surge itself, a surge of hostile serpents and shifting stone, blocks his every step, forcing him to rally his dwindling forces. He snarls, commanding the newly forged traps to seal off the breach, but the labyrinth's hunger already cracks his defenses. The ground trembles, and a distant roar hints at something far worse waiting beyond the stone. Kim Jin was pulse thunders as the cavern's walls pulse with raw abyssal energy. The dormant down gems flare, feeding his dormant instincts. Leo's blade slices through a collapsing corridor while Ira's arrows shatter crystalline spikes. Gear fires a grappling hook, yanking Jinwoo toward the glowing core, and Sarah's firestorm erupts, sealing the breach, just as Malakar's shadow looms, eyes fixed on the prize. Stay subbed to Manwa with Hari, or you'll miss the climax. You hear the kingdom's trumpets wail as the Flood Dragon King rises, his roar shaking the cavern walls. Jinwoo, now the reluctant master of the Naga Labyrinth, watches the creature's emergence, fearing the loss of his fragile hold on power.
Jinwoo snatches the stolen dragon core, igniting the dormant parasite and summoning the Naga champion, while the cavern erupts in Flood Dragon crystal shards that threaten to swallow the labyrinth whole. He feels the crushing weight of an entire realm trembling on the brink, desperate to forge an impregnable shield yet fearing the loss of every soul bound to his crumbling maze. The parasite-fed staff pulses, the invading horde surges, and the labyrinth's walls groan, leaving Jinwoo staring at an abyss that could collapse at any heartbeat. Watch the battlefield crumble as half the army lies buried and the Flood Dragon King collapses, his roar dying on the wind. Jinwoo watches the carnage, his heart pounding, because the Spirit King's shadow looms ever closer. He wants the Flood Labyrinth sealed before the next wave arrives, but the dying dragon's horde blocks his path, spilling molten fire across the exit. Jinwoo charges through the blazing debris, his blade cleaving the last of the dragon's scales, and the ground quakes as the Flood's core cracks open. The price is the blood of every surviving soldier spilling into the ruin. Victory rings, but the cost sings louder. Yet the Spirit King already moves beyond the shattered walls. The package bursts open, revealing an underworld barren seal, glowing glyphs etched in black iron. A voice, older than stone, echoes in Jinwoo's mind, asking if he wishes to inherit the Baron's mantle. The seal promises control over the Naga labyrinth, tolls on any who enter, and a fledgling order to guard it. Jinwoo feels the pull of power, the chance to protect his people from future invasions. He clenches his fists, accepting the title, aware that the labyrinth will now answer to him alone. The cost. The labyrinth's secrets become his burden, and every step into its depths now carries the weight of nobility. I am appointed Baron of the Underworld. You feel the weight of every choice as Jinwoo kneels beside a rusted cage. He wants to know if the horned rats, remnants of the Flood Dragon labyrinth, still hide inside. The cage door jams, and the faint squeaks echo, hinting at lives clinging to darkness. He slides a blade under the lock, pries it open, and peers into the gloom, whispering for guidance. The rats scatter, some fleeing deeper, others freezing in fear. The cost. A stray rat bites his fingertip, spilling poison that burns his blood, reminding him that even small lives can bite back. What comes next changes everything. Master. These are the horned rats that used to work for the Flood Dragon labyrinth. Jinwoo seizes the trembling merchant's glowing labyrinth core, forcing the deactivation sequence as the Flood Dragon lights sputter and die, shattering the merchant's last hope for power. He claims the core's volatile energy for his nascent barony, risking a catastrophic backlash that could raise his newly won territories while the merchant watches his fortune crumble. The cage door jams, a chorus of unseen horned rats echoes, and the darkness beyond the corridor swallows every sound, leaving Jinwoo's fate and the labyrinth's secret energy hanging on a razor-thin thread. Flood Dragon's labyrinth devours its own workers, and the Baron's hunger is just beginning. A chorus of ragged rats scrambles as a booming voice commands attention. Jinwoo, the Underworld Baron, declares himself master of the Naga labyrinth, bragging about the day he sliced the Flood Dragon King Anaxtas's throat and earned a noble title. He forces the terrified rodents to kneel, promising safety only if they bow to his authority. The rats tremble, their ears pinned to the ground, because defying the Baron means certain death. Their only chance to live lies in obedient submission. Pay your respects or die. The Baron's plan hides a darker hunger yet. The new core thrums awake, sending shockwaves through the labyrinth's stone veins. Kim Jinwoo feels the dormant hunger surge as walls rearrange, monsters roar, and the Overseer's grin widens. Lee Junho slashes a spawning wyvern, while Minacio erupts a vortex of flame, sealing a breach. Hygiene whispers a seal, buying the party seconds before the next floor collapses into chaos.
Jinwoo's guide lantern flickers as the collapsing expedition shatters the surface, pulling him into the pulsing heart of a newly claimed labyrinth. The walls hum, core energies surge, and the dormant Naga core ignites, flooding the floor with raw power.
The ruler now plans to thank Quintus for the idea, but he also wants to send Quietus orders himself, refusing to leave the dangerous delivery to anyone else. He aims to secure the new construction plans before the labyrinth shifts again. The obstacle is his own pride, which forces him to take the risky journey to the front lines. He commands his most trusted rat to carry the blueprints, insisting the messenger never returns empty-handed. The rat bolts through crumbling tunnels, clutching the scroll, while the ruler watches the labyrinth walls tremble, fearing a collapse. Deliver the orders now, no delays. Chaos erupts as a massive beast bursts from the shadows, forcing everyone to flee. Jinwoo forces the trembling rats into a collapsing hidden chamber, sealing the entrance with a single super-grade down gem that pulses ominously, while the labyrinth's walls shudder under the beast's roar. The survivors feel their hope teeter on a razor's edge as starving bodies stare at cold gems, their lives hinging on the gem's impossible conversion to sustenance, while the new ruler's craving for power threatens to eclipse any chance of mercy. The beast's massive form looms at the narrow passage, its snarls echoing through the tunnels, leaving the party's escape route sealed and the fate of the hidden stash hanging on a trembling, unsteady wall. 7 floors down, the client sells souls for free gear. Death's price is betrayal. The desperate negotiator presses the guide,
demanding a descent to the 7th underworld floor to capture werbeasts. He argues that the surface market already pays enough in down gems, so why risk the lower depths? The guide, Jinwoo, feels the sting of conscience. He hates sending people to die for profit. He refuses outright, citing his own moral line. The client, desperate for a record of a sent-down person, leans on the promise of payment and threatens to abandon him. Jinwoo's pride and duty clash, and the tension spikes. The client leans closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. Jinwoo urges his companion to keep walking, eager to witness the construction's outcome. As they stride, he recounts the human's mockery of the Flood Dragon King, branding him a scaredy cat for dodging weapons during the Great War. The anecdote fuels his growing suspicion that the dragon's fear is not cowardice but a strategic retreat, a clue to the labyrinth's hidden defenses. A sudden loading screen flashes, freezing the moment, as if the dungeon itself pauses to watch their progress. The interruption leaves Jinwoo uneasy, aware that the labyrinth may be testing their resolve.
Apparently, the humans call the Flood Dragon King a scaredy cat.
He can't shake the feeling that the maze is already reading his thoughts.
The party needs to capture a rare werbeast that the client touts as a gold mine. Jinwoo wants the job done fast, Beck pushes for caution, and the team fears another slaughter. The ceiling looms, echoing high-pitched chirps that signal unseen wings, while the memory of fallen comrades fuels their dread. Beck whispers a plan. Stay close to the walls, move only when silence reigns, and consider selling the prize themselves to avoid the meager commission. Jinwoo swallows the temptation, nods, and forces the group forward, weapons ready. Stay near walls, don't move on high-pitched chirps. Their footsteps echo, but something watches from the darkness. As they press deeper, the party debates the nature of the deaths.
The parasite awakens, shedding its skin for perfect camouflage that renders it invisible without detection. While Jinwoo's party storms the corpse-strewn 7th floor and spots a ferocious, darting silhouette. Jinwoo bears the crushing weight of betrayal and countless corpses, risking his cherished blood leopard gem on a personal weapon instead of a client's request, fearing every misstep could cost lives. A razor-sharp beast lunges from the shadows, its eyes glinting with lethal intent, leaving the party teetering on the edge of a deadly ambush that could shatter their quest. The Silnili lunges, shattering the explorer's only hope just as the blood leopard roars. Onyx snarls, blood spattering his visor, while the unnamed speaker darts forward, desperate to dodge the beast's crushing jaws. He wants to survive long enough to land a killing blow, but the creature's speed blocks every angle. He rolls low, slashes at the flank, and manages to graze its side, buying a breath. The wound sparks a brief flash of hope, yet the monster's roar promises more blood. The speaker whispers, "I couldn't sense it until right before it reached me." He realizes the creature matches the werbeast Mr. Beck warned about, the Silnili that slaughtered countless explorers. Kim Jin was pulse spikes as the crumbling stone slab slides shut behind him, sealing the newfound labyrinth to the world above. The ancient runes flare, whispering a hunger only a dungeon baby can hear. He grips the guide's staff, eyes blazing, and rushes toward the echoing roar of Miral's summoned guardian, determined to master the maze before his suppressed instincts devour everything he loves.
Jinwoo's heart hammered as the labyrinth's stone gates slammed shut, sealing him inside a living maze he never chose. Heijin lunged forward, blade singing, while Luna traced sigils that flared blue against the darkness. Miral's laugh echoed from the ceiling, summoning a vortex of void flames.
A cold wind whistles through the corridor, carrying fragmented whispers of forgotten codes. Jinwoo's goal narrows to decoding the cryptic markings that might reveal a way out. The broken glyphs on the wall blur, their meaning lost beneath layers of dust and decay, blocking his progress. He forces his eyes to focus, tracing each line until the symbols align into a half-remembered formula. The floor trembles as the hidden mechanism clicks, revealing a concealed passage lit by a faint, eerie glow. He steps inside, feeling the weight of the labyrinth shift behind him, sealing the old route.
Knit.
What lies beyond the new doorway could turn his hope into ruin.
Jinwoo slashes the abyssal beast as Luna flings a blazing rune, sealing the monster while the cursed altar erupts in a flood of shadowy sigils. Jinwoo feels his blood-soaked hands tremble, realizing his dormant dungeon baby power threatens everything he cherishes, and the loss of innocent lives fuels a burning thirst for vengeance. The abyss yawns wider, a darker presence watches from the shadows, and the cryptic symbols on Jinwoo's hand pulse, promising a perilous choice that could either free them or doom them all.
Jinwoo's lantern flickers as the collapsing cavern spits out a pulse of raw labyrinth energy, and the newly claimed dungeon reshapes around him. He slams his fists into the stone, summoning dormant walls that surge like living armor. Above, Junwoo, Luna, and Titan breach the 12th floor, their blades humming while Lord Acheron's grin widens, sensing the baby's hunger unleashed.
Kim Jin was heart-hammered as the cracked stone door sealed behind him, the labyrinth's pulse sinking with his dormant power. The Swordmaster's blade clanged against a snarling gatekeeper, while Luna's arrow sang, stitching wounds in real time.
The team finally checks the newly synchronized labyrinth core, hoping the upgrade will give them an edge. Their goal is to unlock new troop types to counter the rising monster tide. The obstacle appears as the core's rank warnings. Both Smithy and core ranks are too low to summon the powerful Naga Cavalry and Flood Dragon Siege units. Despite the restrictions, the engineers managed to activate a prototype Naga Scout, a fast trap-laying unit, and a Flood Dragon Siege class that can breach massive enemy formations. The cost is the steep energy drain and massive maintenance fees that threaten to cripple their resources.
New troops, high price.
The next battle will test whether the gamble pays off. Jinwoo orders his limited forces to hold the line, refusing to let the Naga troops suffer unnecessary damage. He commands the defenders to adopt a defensive stance, fortifying walls instead of charging forward. The troops tighten formation, shields interlocking, arrows knocked, ready to meet the incoming heroes. As the command echoes, the first of the unknown soldiers appear on the horizon, their banners fluttering like angry birds. Jinwoo's heart pounds, knowing the upcoming battle will test his resolve as a labyrinth master. But the real problem is already in motion. The approaching column slows, and a voice booms from the front, demanding audience with the Naga Labyrinth's king.
Jinwoo slams his staff into the stone floor, sealing the Naga Labyrinth behind him as dormant runes flare, and the walls reshape into razor-sharp spikes, unleashing the cursed core's raw power. He gains unimaginable strength yet inherits a living nightmare, his humanity trembling as his limited forces brace for relentless Naga onslaught, fearing the labyrinth's bloodthirst will consume them all. Block, servant of Malaxis, arrives with hammer-clad legions, demanding audience while his chilling command, "Make way!" hangs in the air, leaving Jinwoo's line teetering on the brink of annihilation.
The noble's title is a lie. The Naga's labyrinth now dwarfs their army. The new lord stands rigid, eyes flicking between the bowing goblin troops and the glittering entrance of the Naga labyrinth. He wants respect, but the goblins cling to forced reverence, confusing duty with fear. Their clumsy bows block his chance to gauge true intent. He slams his gauntlet on the stone, demanding honesty, and the troops mutter a shaky apology, their weapons lowering. The uneasy truce buys him a moment's breathing room, yet the walls whisper that the real test begins now.
We're not your owners. Why bow?
And the shadows already stir beyond the gate. The noble receives a formal request to escort his guests out, his mind already plotting a route that avoids the labyrinth's hidden traps. He wants to keep the visitors safe while preserving his own standing with the goblin hosts. The goblin commander, eager to prove loyalty, scrambles soldiers, their armor clanking like distant thunder. A mercenary named Quintus confirms the swamp and wanderer labyrinth locations, bolstering the noble's map with reliable intel. Yet the constant chatter threatens to expose his own doubts. He decides to accept the escort, buying time to study the terrain before the next move. The echo of the goblin chant fades as the corridor widens. Jinwoo's eyes lock onto a cloaked figure emerging from the shadows, the self-styled master of the Naga labyrinth. The master craves domination, wanting Jinwoo to kneel and acknowledge his rule. Jinwoo's resolve blocks him. He refuses to surrender his newfound title. He steps forward, hand gripping the relic that granted him the labyrinth, and demands the master step aside. The master lifts a gauntlet fist, his voice a low growl, "Master!" The tension spikes, and the air thickens with impending clash.
Master!
The master's stare promises a battle that could shatter the whole maze.
The Gluttony Labyrinth's master bursts into the stone hall, flanked by hulking goblin guards, and declares Jinwoo must die as payment, demanding the king of gluttony feast on his soul. Jinwoo feels his very existence teeter on the edge, his claim to the Naga labyrinth shattering, while the weight of inevitable oblivion crushes his desperate hope for survival. A cloaked figure looms behind the master, eyes glowing with unseen power, hinting at a pact that could either save Jinwoo or unleash a hunger that devours the entire realm. Ice floods the corridor as the parasite blade ignites, sealing their fate forever. Uther, the king of gluttony, towers over the trembling intruders, demanding they come to die rather than beg. The dazed magicians clutch their wands, hoping pride will spare them, but Uther's grin tells them nothing can. Their fear freezes their resolve, leaving them exposed. Uther raises his fist, the frozen air crackling, and the corridor shivers under his command. The group's hope shatters as the ice claws at their throats, sealing their doom.
You must come here to die instead of apologizing.
The corridor's chill deepens, and a darker threat looms beyond the ice.
Kim Jinwoo's heart hammered as the crumbling stone sealed behind him, the labyrinth's ancient sigils flaring to life. The gluttony walls pulsed, recognizing their new master, and a chorus of hungry spirits roared his title. He swallowed the lingering civilian facade, gripping the cursed crown, no longer a guide, but the baron of the corrupted valley, hunger blazing in his veins. Stay subbed to.
Uther admits he's been draining his own energy to keep his monstrous form after escaping the gluttony labyrinth. He tells his listeners that every creature in the corridor is already dead, and because of his sacrifice, the remaining gluttony pieces starve by the minute.
Jinwoo's mind reels as the auction chatter reaches his ears. He wants to know why the new owner of the fourth floor draws such attention, but the murmurs treat it as routine. The crowd's excitement masks a hidden threat. A human has survived the 9th floor and earned a baron's title, a miracle that unsettles the elite. Jinwoo pushes forward, demanding answers, yet the nobles only hand him a VIP ticket, an invitation he never earned. He pockets the ticket, aware that possessing it marks him as a target for those who control the deeper floors. The price? A scarred reputation and a silent promise that someone will hunt him for daring to step into the upper echelons. The answer is already too late.
Baron Kim Jinwoo forces Uther, the Gluttony Labyrinth's master, to sign a binding pact, sealing the monster's drained energy and the labyrinth's power into his own hands. Uther feels his life force ripped away as his sacrifice becomes exploitation, while Jinwoo revels in newfound authority, but the weight of every contract crushes both their souls. A mysterious 9th floor survivor watches the ritual, his icy stare promising a retaliatory strike that could shatter the newly forged alliance and unleash chaos across the dungeon. The Black Merchant's flag burns the arena, and any labyrinth daring to strike vanishes on sight. The merchants shout that the yearly festival sells everyday wares, but the rare items only appear at the high-stakes auction. They promise equal chance, insisting only labyrinth owners may bid. A murmur rises. Do any owners actually come? A booming laugh answers. Hundreds flood in each year, more than you can count. The crowd tightens, eyes fixed on the empty podium where the next contract will be sealed. The tension spikes, the auction is about to begin. The price of a single mistake will echo through every floor.
Jinwoo's blood ignites as the cursed ticket shatters, spilling snarling Naga beasts onto the surface. He lunges forward, slashing with a forged blade while Myra's arrows pierce the horde, and Junwoo summons a shielding rune. The Ghost King roars overhead, but Jinwoo's dormant instincts roar louder, claiming the labyrinth as his own.
If you want more daily recaps, hit that subscribe button now. The auction hall hums with tension. A rival merchant steps forward, eyes blazing, demanding the newcomer bow. He craves respect, wants the crowd's favor, but the challenger's bloodied reputation blocks him. A hushed murmur ripples as the presenter whispers about a prize unseen for a decade, a relic that once bit the very hands that fed it. He explains it dwells only in the shallow geysers, a place where the flow dwindles to a few precious drops. The audience leans forward, craving the impossible, while the scarcity of the geyser's bounty blocks any easy acquisition. The merchant gestures dramatically, shouting the name in a broken chant, hoping the mystery alone will drive the bids sky high. Coins clatter, and a single bid rockets the price beyond anyone's expectations. The next whisper could ignite a war over a single drop. A rival merchant shatters the auction's fragile piece, brandishing a cursed relic that erupts in violet flame, forcing every bidder to scramble for the coveted prize before the gavel falls. The challenger watches his reputation crumble as whispers declare he's untouchable, while his desperate hope for safety flickers, knowing a single misstep could seal his downfall. A hidden voice murmurs the relic's true curse. Only those who smell nothing can wield it, leaving the arena buzzing with suspicion as the black merchants prepare to seal the final bid.
Kim Jinwoo's pulse hammered as the stone doors slammed shut, sealing his accidental claim on the newborn labyrinth. The ancient glyphs glowed, urging his dormant dungeon baby instincts to rise. He seized the chrono key, rewinding the collapsing ceiling just as shards rained down, and whispered to the trembling walls, "I won't hide forever." The echo of his promise reverberated through Etheria's dark veins. Jinwoo's blood boiled as the cracked stone doors slammed shut, sealing him inside the newborn labyrinth he'd unwillingly inherited. The walls pulsed with ancient runes, whispering of forgotten dungeon babies and their insatiable hunger. Shadows coiled, and a guttural growl echoed, "Human flesh on the menu."
The auctioneer's voice booms, announcing a fresh bid of gems, the black merchant's hidden hand surfacing. The noble's shoulders slump. His pockets are empty, his honor bruised. He watches the black-cloaked buyers grin, their ledger pages already full. The necromancer king steps back, his pride wounded by the unexpected competition. The auctioneer smirks, declaring the noble not allowed to continue, his tone dripping with contempt. The GY Syrian's mute eyes flicker, oblivious to the human greed swirling around it. The crowd murmurs, sensing the price has shattered any chance of mercy. The auctioneer raises his gavel once more, shouting going once, going twice, as the final gem pile slams onto the stone.
The fresh owner snarls when the vampire refuses to meet his gaze, demanding the creature obey. A deep voice cuts through the chatter, declaring himself ruler of the 6th floor, his authority echoing off the stone walls. He warns the buyer not to defile the ancient beast, promising that any violent act will turn back on the attacker. The buyer's confidence cracks. His hand trembles over the bid slip, realizing the vampire's refusal carries a threat far beyond a simple purchase. "I am the ruler of the 6th floor." The buyer's next move could awaken the floor's hidden wrath.
The auctioneer slams the gavel as a trembling, pale vampire is sold to a ruthless noble, its cursed blood promising immortality but demanding a master that recognizes it. The noble feels power surge through his veins while his crew watches helplessly as the vampire rejects his command, threatening to abandon him and strip away the chance at eternal reign. A mysterious surge of gems erupts from the sealed room, and the shadowy ruler of the 6th floor steps forward, leaving everyone wondering who truly controls the vampire and what price the darkness demands.
She's a mute doll, bound to a tyrant, while the labyrinth devours its masters. The nameless girl stares blank, eyes drifting, her silence a shield. He whispers reassurance, promising no harm even if she cries out. He feels the weight of her lost voice, the cruelty of the maze that stole it. He steadies his breath, leans close, and tells her she's safe for now. The promise hangs, fragile as glass, while the darkness beyond watches. He knows the cost. Every calm breath may be the last before the walls shift.
I am very displeased by the product storage environment. Please tell us what displeases you.
The newly formed elf guild draws attention from a collector obsessed with rare creatures, who sets a deadly trap hoping to harvest the guild's prized hunters. The collector wants the elves dead, the guild's fame extinguished. The trap's intricate design and the elves' inexperience block their escape. The guild's leader confesses she was the only survivor of a sacrifice, revealing hidden knowledge about the trap's weak point. She sacrifices her own safety, guiding the others through a narrow passage. The trap collapses, killing several but sparing the core members. The survivor's cunning earns the guild a grudging respect, yet the cost is a blood-stained reputation. He has no idea what's waiting. The vampire's voice crackles, demanding a new rule. Participants must now choose her master, not herself. She craves a buyer whose will conceal her fate, hoping the highest bidder will seal her power. The crowd balks, confused by the sudden shift, their greed now tangled with fear. The vampire lifts her veil, eyes scanning every desperate face, then drops a cold bargain. Any offer, high or low, binds her forever. Jinwoo snarls, refusing to let a monster dictate terms, and he shouts for the auction to end. The room erupts, the auctioneer's gavel slams, and the vampire's cage shudders, ready to be sold.
Choose my master, or die waiting.
The auctioneer's grin fades, and the real horror begins. Jinwoo slams the auctioneer's gauntlet, sparks erupting as the cursed relic blazes, forcing the vampire to demand a buyer for her master and unveiling the red gem of Geyser as the ultimate prize. Lyra's eyes blaze with fury, while Miri's time shards crack, each knowing the relic could either empower their fight or cement the vampire's dominion, leaving their hope teetering on the edge of annihilation. The shattered floor yawns toward the noble's ruined chamber, the ancient scent of blood lingering, as Jinwoo steps forward, unaware that the hidden truth behind the dungeon's origin waits to seal everyone's fate.
Kim Jinwoo's heart hammered as the newly claimed labyrinth pulsed beneath his feet, its walls whispering the ancient cravings he'd buried. He forced Myra's arrow to skim a collapsing trap, then commanded Titan's cannon to breach the core chamber. The architect's cold eyes flickered, Junwoo's keybearer seal glowed, and Jinwoo finally tasted the power he'd denied. Kim Jinwoo gripped the cold iron rail as the labyrinth's walls pulsed with raw core energy, his suppressed instincts roaring to the surface. The gate's roar echoed, and the ancient AI's voice whispered, "Claim your destiny." With Myra's arrows humming and Titan's cannon booming, Jinwoo slammed the dormant stone seal, igniting the new dungeon and sealing his fate as its master. Kim Jinwoo's pulse spikes as the trembling stone seals slam shut, sealing the newly claimed labyrinth around him. The dormant dungeon baby instincts flare, urging him to summon creeping roots and echoing traps, yet he steadies his breath, remembering his family's safety above. With a clenched fist, he ignites the first core crystal, forcing the gate's shadow to recoil and announcing his unwilling reign. If you want more daily recaps, hit that subscribe button now.
The new owner grits his teeth, refusing any attachment to the vampire he's forced to take. He demands a quick sale, fearing the creature's wrath if anyone hurts her. The Baron, trembling, admits his fear of angering Anatoly, the steel-clad lord who watches from the 11th floor. He tells himself he has no choice, that he will pretend to work hard, even if it means cleaning or laundry, just to keep the vampire appeased. The vampire snaps, calling him a mosquito and shoving him away, her frustration boiling over. The Baron's resolve cracks, but he still clings to the hope that obedience will keep the blood flow alive. The cost. His self-respect is trampled, and the vampire's wrath grows louder with every insult.
Fine. Get off me already, you mosquito.
He watches the vampire retreat, wondering who will finally feed her. The aristocrat shatters his reluctant pact, forcing the ancient vampire to drink his blood, sealing a desperate bargain that ignites a volatile power shift. He sacrifices his dignity and risks his soul, while the vampire gains nourishment and a fleeting sliver of gratitude, leaving both terrified of the looming retribution from the unseen steel-clad lord. Now the Baron trembles, the secret contract teeters on exposure, and the 11th floor lord watches, poised to strike once the concealed alliance surfaces, threatening ruin for every player. A vampire child and a hero servant, bound by a single cursed gem, ignite war. The narrator points out a trembling child, Yoon-hui, whose pale skin matches the vampire woman beside her. Dominique, the cold second in command, eyes the gem and calculates the profit. Their goal: lock the gem in storage before the labyrinth's fees drain their funds. The cramped chamber offers no empty, forcing them to shove a low-rank worker into a tiny nook. They seal the gem, but the cramped room groans, warning that every extra soul costs blood.
Tell everything you know about the ground level. There are no humans in the geyser. Enough talking.
Jinwoo slams the glowing rune into the cavern wall, shattering the barrier that kept the abyssal gate sealed. Mira darts forward, her alchemical vials hissing as she injects a destabilizing serum into the core. Lord Varkas snarls, summoning void wraiths, but Rex barrels through, crushing the beasts with metallic fists. The labyrinth trembles, and Jinwoo feels his dormant dungeon baby instincts roar to life. Manwa with Hari. Jinwoo learns the labyrinth has accepted a dungeon baby as its master. He wants proof that a human can truly own the ever-shifting maze, but the concept itself feels absurd. The maze itself taunts him, flashing a shimmering portal that it calls a gate to the depths.
Jinwoo pushes the stranger for concrete details, eyes flicking to the map on the wall. He hopes to locate an empty labyrinth that could give him leverage without attracting the association scouts. The stranger mentions a 7th floor maze rumored to hold the highest potential, claiming he discovered it himself. Yet he admits the association already dispatched a team 2 weeks ago, and their leader, referred to as that scoundrel, has already set foot inside. Jinwoo's plan stalls as the scent of competition thickens the air.
He's the leader. They sent that scoundrel?
The clock ticks, and the empty maze may already be occupied.
Jinwoo seizes unbreakable weapons and storms toward the 7th floor, aiming to claim the empty labyrinth's core before anyone else. He risks losing his life and the chance to protect his friends, while the promise of ultimate power tempts him, weighing survival against betrayal. The fractured core flickers ominously, and the stranger's hidden motives remain unknown, leaving Jinwoo teetering on a brink where any misstep could shatter reality.
Kim Jin was heart-hammered as the 7th floor labyrinth yawned, its walls pulsing with dormant power. He slammed the gate shut behind the hostile scouts, then forced his latent dungeon baby instincts into overdrive, summoning a vortex of razor-sharp crystal shards that tore the intruders apart. Bloodied but alive, he stared into the abyss, realizing the labyrinth now answered to him, not the other way around.
Kim Jinwoo's pulse races as the cursed gate flares, thrusting him into the heart of a living labyrinth he never chose. While Heijin and Lyra clash with Lord Varkos's corrupted legion, Jinwoo's dormant dungeon baby instincts flare, reshaping walls into deadly traps.
The group fights off hungry beasts, their numbers swelling as the gluttony-infused monsters mistake them for a legion. One member snarls, refusing to be called a minion, while another mutters about the auction's endless orders. The leader snaps, reminding everyone this is their 3rd expedition in a row, demanding focus. Their exhaustion deepens, but they refuse a break, forcing the grind to continue. The toll shows. Muscles ache, morale cracks, and resentment builds like a pressure valve about to burst.
Not a minion. This is my 3rd run.
The commander warns that even a short rest could cost them a year after such a trek, but promises a light reconnaissance that spares their strength.
You feel the weight of every breath disappearing as the darkness wraps around you. Angela, the vampire scout, activates a higher-tier cloaking spell, her aura dimming to nothing. The group watches the invisible veil swallow sound. Even the frantic heartbeat fades. A guttural chant from the ancient glyphs crackles,
promising total oblivion to any trace. The idols, broken statues lining the hall, glint briefly before the spell consumes them, their power redirected into the stealth field. The team, now unseen, hears a distant oink echo from the 9th floor, a bizarre clue that rattles their nerves. Invisible camouflage, stronger version activated. Their silent advance draws them nearer to the source of that mysterious sound.
Jinwoo slams his fist on the ancient glyph. The gate flares open, and a torrent of crimson-lit corridors erupts, unleashing snarling beasts that surge toward the team. Heijin clings to the glowing sanctuary while Lyra's sigils blaze. Yet the encroaching darkness presses in, forcing Angela to vanish into cloaking shadow and leaving Yunhui's scent-driven hunt as their fragile beacon. The tunnel widens into a yawning abyss where shadowed figures stir and a pulsating unknown power thrum, promising a showdown that could fracture the team's tenuous bond and plunge them into utter ruin. Labyrinth's mindless guardians vanish, leaving only a ticking ancient seal as death looms. A shadowy voice whispers that if they speak inside his mind while he lurks in the darkness, they can share thoughts. The creature snorts, mimicking an animal's grunt, then mocks the intruders for being too stupid to know where to look. It revels in their ignorance, prowling the dim corridors, ready to strike when they finally focus. The tension spikes as the unseen menace circles, hungry for a mistake. And that's not even the worst part.
Talk in my head while I'm in your shadow. The Baron's ironclad squad storms the gate as Jinwo's newly bound labyrinth roars to life, walls shifting like a living beast. Heijin slashes through the onslaught, Iron Fist's gauntlet shattering stone while Luna weaves a vortex of frost that freezes the Baron's cavalry mid-charge. Ares' arrows pierce the chaos, and the labyrinth itself gulps the invaders, sealing the breach with a thunderous, blood-slick crack.
The remaining fighters clutch wounded comrades. Their goal now to survive the grotesque banquet the Baron plans. The nauseating stench of blood and the Baron's taunts block any hope of calm. I don't want any greasy, gross blood drips from his lips.
The Guardian leans closer, sensing your urgency. You ask if there's any method to bypass the carnage. It whispers of a risky shortcut. It will open a path by creating a distraction, a move unheard of for a labyrinth owner. The idea shocks you, no owner ever joins the fray. Still, the promise of a clear route tempts you, even as doubts gnaw at the price of such aid. You nod, willing to trade a favor for a chance, hoping the gamble doesn't cost more than you can bear.
I can open a path by distracting others.
Yet the true cost of that distraction remains hidden in the shadows.
Jinwoo shatters the ceiling stone walls, unleashing his dormant blood magic, which erupts into skeletal vines that swallow the invading party and crown him the new labyrinth master. He feels his heart pound with both terrifying power and crushing isolation, gaining the labyrinth's absolute control while losing any hope of escaping its endless darkness. The Stone Guardian eyes him, offering a perilous shortcut to the 7th floor that demands a binding promise, leaving Jinwoo teetering on a fragile pact as the 8th floor's war roars ever nearer.
The labyrinth's gates seal shut, the scarlet lion prowls, and a pig's sacrifice looms. Jinwoo and his band hear the clash of 7th floor lions and the buzzing of stripped-down wasps echoing through stone corridors. They wonder if the fight is over territory or desperation. No word comes from the 8th floor lookouts, and a distant oink drifts like a warning. Jinwoo clenches his jaw, knowing every unanswered signal could be a trap. He orders the group to regroup, but the chaos already spreads like fire. The silence after the roar feels heavier than any blade.
Scarlet Lion Marcus appears whenever we least expect.
The next wave already gathers beyond the darkness.
Lara watches Yunhui, noting his combat-ready stance, and wonders if he's a former soldier or simply gifted. She wants to protect him, knowing his slime-type body can't take direct hits. Lara orders Uther to stay back, promising she'll shield Yunhui herself. The obstacle is the dwindling supply of gluttony pieces, forcing Lara to waste them on minor foes. The consequence? The pieces disappear faster, leaving the group vulnerable to the next monster surge. He has no idea what's waiting. Jinwoo yells for drama, urging the squad to push forward despite the grim odds. He sees dirty blood sacks littering the ground, useless for healing, and tosses them back to the monsters, refusing to waste effort.
Jinwoo slams his fist against the shifting stone, forcing a hidden alcove open as the dungeon's walls pulse with dark energy. Lara's fire spirals crack the ceiling, scattering toxic spores while Blade Park lunges, cleaving a snarling abyssal warden. Mira tosses a volatile elixir, igniting a chain reaction that shatters the ceiling, revealing the ruined surface and Lord Arcturus' spying eyes watching the chaos unfold. Jinwoo slams the rusted gate open. The dungeon's walls pulse as the Odyssey system flickers to life. Lara's fire-spun sigils flare, scattering a horde of stone-clad drakes, while Blade's blade sings, cleaving the corrupted roots.
Jinwoo shatters the shifting stone wall with a blood-fueled strike, unleashing a torrent of crimson energy that ignites the ancient glyphs and binds the Odyssey contract to his lineage, while Lara's blood cup erupts, decimating the remaining monsters. Jinwoo feels his heart sear with betrayal as his life force fuels the labyrinth's rebirth, losing the chance for a clean escape and sacrificing his hope for redemption, while Lara's desperate resolve cracks under the weight of her own sacrifice. The Abyssal Warden materializes from the glowing glyphs, its looming silhouette promising a brutal reckoning, leaving Jinwoo and Lara trapped as the dungeon reshapes into an unknowable nightmare.
The map flickers, then rewrites itself. Someone whispers that the labyrinth itself has answered Yoon Huey's call, pulling the entire floor into a new, impossible layout. The guild's master fumbles the updated chart, eyes wide, desperate to locate the missing girl before the walls close in. He pushes the crew forward, ignoring the rising panic, because every second lost could seal her fate. The crew sprints toward the 9th floor, feeling the stone shift beneath their boots, and the map glows brighter, confirming they're on the right track. But the deeper they go, the more the labyrinth seems to swallow its own memory.
The map has been updated. The labyrinth call is real.
They push deeper, yet the surroundings feel unchanged. No beasts, no traps, just endless stone. One breathes out. We've walked far, but see nothing different. Another paces. Is this even inside? Feels like we're just circling. A sudden deja vu hits. A voice whispers, "I've been here before. Angela, can you sense anything?" The silence answers, the scanner dead. Their confidence cracks as the familiar feeling turns into dread. The cost. The maze's false calm masks a hidden threat waiting to strike. Panic spikes when a scout yells, "What the hell are labyrinths doing?" I felt no animosity. The words bounce off cold walls, revealing the might not even be the true labyrinth at all. The chatter erupts into a frantic list of fallen comrades, each name a wound. Baker Jong Tae-soo promised the best bread. The promise now rots in the darkness. The poison fog that claimed the baker's life drifts like a living veil, choking hope. Sergeant Lee Ji-suk, once a shield for the squad, crumbles under the weight of a decoy's death. Technician Lee Ji-woong's limbs are torn apart by a trap he tried to disarm, his screams silenced by stone. Chef Oh Hyun-il dies protecting the baker, while Major Jan Ji-soo runs, dragging the wounded from the start. Every loss tightens the maze's grip, feeding the labyrinth's hunger. The maze feeds on their grief, and it is far from satisfied. Kim Jinwoo forces the sealing stone to crash shut, unleashing a roaring wave of raw dungeon baby energy that tears the cavern walls open. He watches his comrades' names dissolve into poisonous fog, feeling the crushing loss of every promise and the painful birth of a new, uncontrollable power within his blood. A shifting shadow forms a flickering doorway between reality and nightmare, and the unseen weight presses down, leaving the labyrinth's true master and the fate of all survivors still hidden.
Kim Jinwoo's blood roils as the 7th floor's hypnosis spell snaps shut, dragging him from his modest guidehouse straight into the pulsating heart of the eternal labyrinth. Lee Hyun-woo, Void Wielder, shoves a shimmering portal open,
Mira Kim's blade humming beside him while Cypher hacks the rune-locked gate. Together they seize the newly claimed maze, daring Astrius's whispers to echo against Jinwoo's suppressed instincts. Jin was pulse-hammered as the collapsing tunnel sealed behind him, the newborn labyrinth's stone walls humming with unfamiliar power. He clutched the ancient key, feeling his dormant dungeon baby instincts flare, while Hyunwoo, Mira, and Cypher burst in, blades and code crackling.
A figure steps from the shadows, sword drawn, pleading, "Be my knight." The voice belongs to Mira, eyes fierce, demanding you stand guard as the carnival lights flicker ominously. You raise your hand, feeling the void energy coil at your fingertips, ready to seal the portal that threatens to swallow the guild. The portal hums, a vortex of swirling colors, and a cryptic symbol Wandan glows on its rim, hinting at a hidden key. You lock your gaze on the gateway, knowing that protecting it means binding yourself to the labyrinth's fate. The answer may lie in the very room that's keeping them all inside. A chaotic portal erupts, spewing raw energy that slams the stone floor as Mira demands you become her knight amid flickering carnival lights, while a shadow wielder slips toward the guild's hidden vault. Myra's fierce plea forces you to choose between guarding the trembling labyrinth and abandoning the fragile alliance, risking the loss of the coveted activation, switch, and the lives of Hyunwoo's crew. The portal's vortex widens, the ancient Naga walls pulse ominously, and the activation console blinks dead, leaving the floor's collapse imminent and the shadow wielder's true target shrouded in darkness.